I can't wait till I'm looking through that chariot window and escape Babylon with all my kinfolk. The faith of the saints in purple and gold. Let me give a little story that's never been told. Hey, 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 we gon' have a good time. Man was made in your image, we forgot and lost our way. Told us the way to walk in, you let us know you want to play. Hey, hey, we gon' have a good time. 400 plus years of servitude, Egypt in the Bible is similar to. Firstborns got killed cause Pharaoh wasn't chill. Raised up just to fulfill the Lord's will. Northern kingdom wasn't right in the Lord's sight. Syria came down, couldn't even fight. Lord wasn't with us, God put the flight. Now they're strong in the Lord and the power of his might. Let's take a little pause to the story. Today we're not together. That day when Christ returned, he's gonna make us all remember. Babylon came round with gold on the crown. Stop what you're doing and gotta hear the sound. Daniel got saved for not bowing down, and Nebuchadnezzar was based to the ground. All this time that came along, at this point I just wanna go home. Right when our prayers reached this throne, then we did it all again, it's typical. Lord, we are not worthy. Thank you for all the mercy show, cause we don't deserve it. Behold a new beast, got ribs in his teeth. Raised on one side, Persia was increased. Thanks for the ride, it still got the beat. Before you even know it, then here come the Greeks. Alexander was the least, they know Epiphanes. The king got killed, shout out to Maccabees. Zealous for the law, come on, follow me. Taking down the heathen and our enemies. Later down, here comes Rome. They besieged us and conquered my home. Killed my savior and thought he was gone. He's coming back, crushing all your 10 toes. And now take place in America, the so-called land of freedom. The Lord gon' raise his kingdom up right in the midst of Edom. We gon' rule the nations with the two-edged sword. Thank God that kingdom coming, because we serve the Lord. I can't wait till I'm looking through that chariot window and escape Babylon with all my kinfolk. The faith of the saints in purple and gold. Let me give a little story that's never been told. Hey, 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 we gon' have a good time.
You are now flying.
I know a place where I wanna be, where the people look just like me. And when I get there, we'll read the scripts, taking notes right from the bishops. Hey, after Sabbath class, we gon' move them chairs. Gonna praise the Lord like I don't have a care. Good God, I'm gonna dance like David. Put my right foot out, stomp on that heathen. Hey, watch him scream and shout, and watch me get loose and salute the troops. Now turn back around, make the heathen kiss my boot. Blow the trumpets up, make a joyful noise, and teach all them youngins how to serve the Lord. And we'll be alright when we keep the laws and the faith in Christ. After Sabbath class, we gon' move them chairs. Gonna praise the Lord like I don't have a care. Good God, I'm gonna dance like David. Put my right foot out. Stove on that heathen. Watch him scream and shout. Now watch me get loose, hey, and salute the troops. I turn back around, make the heathen kiss my boot. I'm gonna dance like David, gonna dance like David, gonna dance like David, gonna dance like him. I'm gonna dance like David, gonna dance like David. I'm gonna dance like David, gonna dance like David. I'm gonna dance like David, woo, gonna dance like him. Gonna dance like David, gonna dance like David. Gonna dance like David, gonna dance like David. Gonna dance like David, dance. Gonna dance like him. Got 2 left feet, just follow me. Let me show you what to do. Just follow me. Cause I'ma dance like David, damn. I'ma dance like David. Said I'ma gonna stomp your boots. Just like me. Cause I'ma dance like David. I'ma dance like David. I'ma dance like David. Woo, I'ma dance like David. Ooh.
In case the heathen wanna test me. Thank God, we'll hang them up high enough for the world to see. In that day we'll reign, bring them all to shame, make them all to the King of Kings. Say we're gonna hang them high, and bring them down low, bring them down low. Say we're gonna hang them high, read what you sow, read what you sow. Say we're gonna hang them high. Cherry swing low, swing down low. And we're gonna hang 'em high. Better act like you know, act like you know. Don't tell me nothing, got a gala with your name. Says you wanted it for me, well you're about to get the same. I don't want no truce, you ain't turning loose. Got a custom made news, cause you try to kill the Jews. Tell a friend, it's bird ram, gotta get for the rib, beef ribs on the pit. Don't not a drip, eagle wings get clipped. Come on and clap your hands, cause the Lord said that's just to ruin your plans. Come on and clap your hands, on the day of Mordecai, gonna do my dance. We're gonna hang them high, and bring them down low, bring them down low. Say we're gonna hang them high, read what you sow, read what you sow. Say we're gonna hang them high. Cherry swing low, swing down low. And we're gonna hang 'em high. Better act like you know, act like you know.
Yeah, I'm coming with the pain, and you won't feel a thing, cause your head is coming off with one blow. Yeah, you thought I was a slave, now you're looking at a king. I'ma sentence you to life with no parole.
your soul. Said we're gonna hang 'em high. Cherry swing low, swing down low. Said we're gonna hang 'em high. Better act like you know, act like you know.
You are now flying.
Well, he extended his reach, and no man regarded how long you expect him to try. You live your life your own way, like there's no tomorrow. You cast all the Lord's laws aside. Well, I don't feel bad for you. The prophets came and warned you. You ain't listen, you ignored them. Now you mock when your fear come and quit your crying. Now you chose when you were chosen. Now you're dying. Now you made all your decisions. The moon turned to blood. The dead rose from the mud. The Lord has opened the sky. Now you're too late. You ran out of time. It's all because you're stuck in your pride. He gave you truth and grace. If only you tried, and now you're too late. You ran out of time, out of time. Oh, na, 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 na. I went down that road. I did what he told me. Now I receive my prize. But as for you, you'll be rewarded. Prepare now, it's time to die. And he said unto me, behold, I come quickly, my reward's with me, and by his words it shall be. 'Cause you did not believe there will be gnashing of teeth. 2/3 gonna be deceased, they will die. The moon turned to blood, the dead rose from the mud. The Lord has opened the sky. Now you're too late. You ran out of time. It's all because you're stuck in your pride. He gave you truth and grace. If only you tried, and now you're too late. You ran out of time. Now you're too late. You ran out of time. It's all because you're stuck in your pride. He gave you truth and grace. If only you tried, and now you're too late. You ran out of time, out of time. Oh, na, 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 na.
You are now flying.
In the beginning, we wasn't sinning at all. Then came them women. We began to struggle. We lust and we fall.
her, then she'll bite you and leave you dead. I'm talking all about that whiskey and women, and they'll lead you to fall. They'll have you climbing every mountain, drowning the ocean. They won't catch you when you fall. They dangerous, 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 dangerous. I'm talking all about that whiskey and women. They lead you to fall. They dangerous. Well, count your blessings, not take heed or learn your lesson, 'cause you're about to put your life on the line. Now there's some hard times coming. If you don't get to running, you'll be caught up in her trap till you die. Put down that drink, now sober up and I'll be faded. I need you to trust me, they'll take all your money. Gird on up, I'm warning you, this time to wake up and overcome that warring inside. Hey, if you come too near her, then she'll bite you and leave you dead. I'm talking all about that whiskey and women, and they'll lead you to fall. They'll have you climbing every mountain. You'll drown in the ocean. They won't catch you when you fall. They dangerous, 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 dangerous. I'm talking all about that whiskey and women. They'll lead you to fall. They dangerous, 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 yeah, she's a pretty mamacita with some pretty brown eyes. A head of woolly heavy, it's all a disguise. She talk a good game, but then her heart is full of lies. Got a 6-shooter cooter, she be taking men's life. Whoa, you gotta let her go. She tried to take your soul. You dodged a bullet, boy, I tell you right now. Said, oh, you gotta let her go. She got a deep hole. She wiped her mouth and said she did nothing wrong. You had your home team thinking that you're holy, and then you're playing in my face just like you wanted me. But now you're sitting at the body looking lonely. But the truth of the whole matter, you was horny. Yeah, you ran all out of patience, you forgot I was the prize. Should've opened your Bible, you should've closed them fast. Brought shame to your daddy, ain't holding his head up high. Did all of that for nothing, I got us wondering why. Yeah, she's a pretty mamacita with some pretty brown eyes. A head of woolly heavy, it's all a disguise. She talk a good game, but then her heart is full of lies. Got a 6-shooter cooter, she be taking men's lives. Whoa, you gotta let her go. She tried to take your soul. You dodged a bullet, boy, I tell you right now. Said, oh, you gotta let her go. She got a deep hole. She wiped her mouth and said she did nothing wrong. Ha! Yeah, bang, bang, slanging that thing. Choo-choo, you was riding that train. Yeah, it was you ain't got no one to blame. That kitty cat, man, them scriptures couldn't tame. You had a chance, yeah, you had a good thing. And now it's done and life ain't all what it seemed. A nightmare, but it could have been a dream. But life goes on, I know one day this song you'll sing. Yeah, she's a pretty mamacita with some pretty brown eyes. A head of woolly heavy, it's all a disguise. She talk a good game, but then her heart is full of lies. Got a 6-shooter cooter, she be taking men's lives. Whoa, You gotta let her go. She tried to take your soul. You dodged a bullet, boy, I tell you right now. Said, oh, you gotta let her go. She got a deep hole. She wiped her mouth and said she did nothing wrong.
You are now flying.
That southern soul. Yeah. Got the message. Early morning. Got the order for the city. Yeah, we stormy. I need all soldiers ready for war. Got 50 cities we need to tour. Oh yeah. Finally, I'm in the green. I'm bold as a lion. Got the heart of a king. We gon' blitz your cities, pastors one at a time. Robbing our people, taking offering and tithes. Don't pack your bags and try to run out of town, cause we gon' blitz your cities, pastors one at a time. Don't need no room, gon' turn and burn. I shine my boots, my purple earned. Off to the next city, who's all gonna roll with me? Oh, gas, I got 50, I got my Bible with me. Finally, I'm in the green. I'm bold as a lion, got the heart of a king. We gon' blitz.
It's that time again. Yeah. Ya es la hora. You know, power hour. Ponle atención, class is in session. Tune in for an hour, maybe more, that's a blessing. Learn from the captains and the leadership. Flee from religion, cause them churches never teaching everything you learn for your benefit. Line upon line is a requisite. Never take a deficit, yeah. That mean you take a loss if you stray from the way. You get the understanding if you study every day. Apply what you learn and bless when you pray. It's one interpretation, man, it's say what it say. Ya viene el tiempo, entra para el templo. Aprende del maestro con talento. La Biblia es el centro, usando a Israel como instrumento. No te pierdas en doctrina como viento. Estudia y ora y aplica. Tiempo para Dios, ven, hace una cita. Escritura dinamita, morenos y hispanos israelitas. Oye cómo explica Israel unido en Cristo para la vida, nunca se divida. And it's the power hour. Learn your family history, don't be a coward. Yeah, tune in, it's the power hour. I said learn your family history, don't be a coward.
Yeah, history to learn. It's the power hour. The 11th hour. Tune in to your history. You know it ain't no mystery. Power hour. The 11th hour. You gon' learn your history. 11th hour. Power hour.
Shalom, shalom. Welcome to the Power Hour Plus.
Yeah.
Where the technical difficulties run rampant. I could barely hear myself.
I can hear you.
I don't even know why I'm wearing these. I could barely hear myself.
Damn.
I'm going to change the show. It's not going to be what it is. And I'm going to have to just make it about IT across the organization. Put that thumbnail back up. Put that thumbnail back up.
Watch the views go down when you change the show.
Put the thumbnail back up. Something's going on tonight. Why are there so many viewers so early in the chat?
Yeah.
The anticipation.
What happened?
It's about to go down.
Did a rumor get spread? There was.
I think it's
Why?
the thumbnail. The
What's
thumbnail speaks volumes.
That's not even the original joint. Like that's the one where they got me looking
Yeah.
all Rico Suave.
Right.
Get
No,
the
the
other
one
one.
is great.
I like
This
that
one's good
picture.
too.
I like that picture though, man. That look all right.
Oh,
Did you do
praises.
something to the beard, or is that just the way my beard looked?
I
That's
think
how it
no,
looks.
that's natural. I only enhanced it a little bit.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? What did you enhance?
I just, you enhance every photo.
The
It comes
color.
out raw, so I just enhanced the natural color.
Yeah.
But the beard is natural.
Yeah.
The beard is
He didn't add
natural.
no beard, Deke.
Deacon
That's all you-
Nah, man, I'm feeling myself
Yeah,
in
put
that.
that
I'm
one up.
feeling myself in that pic with my beard, bro. I like the way my beard is looking in there. But I don't think that's the one that we was pushing though, right?
Nah,
No,
it's
this is the one.
right here.
Oh yeah,
This is the one.
let's put that.
This
bad
is the
boy
one that
up.
we was spreading
Let's put
all
that bad
over.
boy up. Let's put that.
There's a lot of
Stuff
there's a lot of
going on.
substance in that photo. Like you look at the bottom photo, that's the ideal woman. Then you look above, and it just starts getting more disastrous. Is it up?
Nah, she the devil in the bottom.
Yeah,
too.
That's
thank you.
right. Let him
Deceiver.
Oh,
Yeah.
because of
She
the
on her phone-
breastises? Is it
she
because
on
of the
her phone at
breastises?
the wedding. She texting the other dude.
Oh shit!
Uh-oh.
I didn't see
Damn.
the phone.
Nah, you see, you're young and optimistic.
No, I didn't see the phone. I
I'm
didn't see the
old
phone.
and jaded,
Bro.
So it's just.
You're old and jaded.
Women's
Experience.
the smartest
I'm
players.
old and jaded, so as I look at this,
I'm just.
I tell you,
Woman.
I'm so perplexed right now.
if not for the faith that I have in the Holy Bible, I would have zero faith
Bring it out.
in the women in this truth.
Damn.
I'll say it one more time.
You gotta say it again, Deke.
If not for the faith that I have in the Holy Scriptures
Mm-hmm.
and a handful of examples of foremothers that were exemplary examples,
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
that's why the Scripture says a sister's price, a virtuous
Is
woman, is
above rubies.
far above rubies.
Right.
It also says
I-
who can find it.
I would, and that's if you could find it.
Yeah.
Damn, that part.
Letting you know what? That most of them ain't gonna be right. Solomon said that.
Solomon said it.
I want your words. That's Bible.
Solomon said
That's
that.
Bible.
I mean,
Bible.
we use that for that, but let's get to Ecclesiastes.
Yeah.
Right.
We use that for that, but I gave a broader understanding of what that goes into.
Heavy breakdown.
Because I don't want sisters to think like it's hopeless for them. That's not the case. We gonna talk about some good examples. I'm gonna name them briefly. I don't know if I'm gonna go too much into them, but I've been hearing some things. I've been hearing some things.
Tangs.
I Captain Joel has done a great job as a labor of love and spearheading the Ladies in Waiting program, right? And I've been hearing some things. Let's read the scripture and then I'll go into what I'm gonna go into.
The book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 7 and verse 27. Behold, this have I found, saith the preacher, counting one by one to find out the account, which yet my soul seeketh, but I find not.
Right, so he's saying out of all these women that I had, right? Because he had roughly 1,000, right?
Right.
He had roughly 1,000 between wives and concubines,
Yeah.
That's crazy work.
right? It was like 9 something, but
No,
roughly
it's 1,000. It was
It
800.
was
It was
1,000.
800.
Seven-
Okay.
Israelite
703.
women.
All right, okay.
Yep.
What was the net?
700 and 300.
Okay, damn, he
300.
know the
Thank you,
he know
thank
the exact
Damn.
quantities,
Yeah.
ratios.
You've been studying Solomon.
You know the.
haven't
Man, and not one.
He was.
That's why he had
that heavy,
You gotta
boy.
mention.
Stay in the spirit, bro.
I have to choose.
Hey,
not
put up
to,
the picture of Frank. That was him studying Solomon. Put up the picture.
I gotta.
bro.
You know we always got to get on.
Damn.
Let's not break tradition.
Do it.
No, we hyped him up
Let's
last
not-
week with the beard.
Let's not break tradition. Nah, I'm still gonna respect the beard. He put some respect on the beard. So I'm gonna say, look, that's
There
Oh,
you go.
praise.
Ah, break.
there's Tobias
Dang.
That's that look.
looking at the counting.
But Deke, you
Go
said,
back to the verse. Go back to
I
the
love that
scripture.
thing. I love that
Go
thing.
back. We gotta go back. We gotta backtrack to I know. I gotta.
Stay focused.
I'm giving a little amuse bouche. You know what amuse bouche is?
Yep.
No.
The builder.
Not everybody knows what the
Little
amuse
teaser.
bouche is, right? Yeah, like a little, like let you know,
Like lighten it up?
like trust me, what you about to eat. The amuse bouche is, it's not an appetizer. It's more like a little feature to like let you know, like, yo, what's coming out this kitchen tonight? It's gonna
be straight.
It's gonna be fire. Like
okay.
feet, both feets is in it.
Damn.
and
know what
all
I'm
10
saying?
toes.
The moosh
So you
boosh?
get a little amuse bouche. You know, it's a
Right.
dining term. You know me and food.
Yeah, yeah. I dig it. Moosh boosh.
Oh, we gonna talk about food tonight too for you.
Let's
Oh,
go.
name for the tortas.
Double
For the
whammy.
tortas up in the
Tortas.
chat.
We gonna break that down too.
And the
Oh,
oil
oh yes, we are. I
fried.
feel you have a testimony to
Yeah,
share as
yeah,
well.
there's
You have a
something
torta
that's-
testimony to
Yeah,
say.
my mind is indicting a good matter. Yeah.
So we giving a little amuse bouche, but we gotta backtrack. We gotta introduce. We gotta.
Yeah,
We
I
gotta
thought
lay
we,
the,
I thought
we
you were
gotta lay
gonna,
the foundation. I know, right?
I thought you were about to jump straight into
I feel
it.
like I'm
Deke.
ready to come out just
I was like, yo,
just.
he wasn't ready.
Oh man, Read the scripture again.
Verse 28,
Uh-huh.
which yet my soul seeketh, but I find not. One man among 1,000 have I found,
Uh-huh.
but a woman among all those have I not found.
Right. So he's saying like the women's spirits, they ain't right statistically, right? He said not one of 1,000. That don't mean zero, right? I know if you want to say zero, clearly that's not the case. You have not Ruth, you have Esther,
Right.
You have Judith, you
Yep.
have Sarah,
Yep.
Susanna.
right? Susanna,
Mhm.
I mean, Abigail. How can we forget? I mean, who doesn't love an Abigail,
Right.
right?
This
Like,
is true.
you know.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's examples. There's examples in the scripture.
Very
you
few,
know?
but there is examples. Yes.
The sister with the kids and the Maccabees.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So I mean, there's sisters that are Tobit's wife,
Dorcas.
right? Dorcas
yeah,
in the New Testament, right? Anna, right? So you hear all these. So there are, right? Don't mean zero,
Right.
right?
There's hope.
no, there's hope.
But I read that scripture to validate the statement I made.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, if not for my faith in the scriptures, I would not have any hope in any of these women.
Hey, Deacon, and with all of the women you named, the Bible was what made it transformative for them.
That's right.
That's
They
it.
wouldn't have did what they
That's
did without the guidance of the Bible.
That's right.
Right.
That's
That's
it.
right.
And listen, I'm gonna do all my prefaces now out front because I'm sure there's gonna be one crabby ass sister that's gonna be what about the men? What about the men?
That's a given.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Listen, we always talk about the men.
Facts.
The men get the business. We deal with that, right? Then they said my mic's lower than others. I'd say the whole shit.
Yo,
Pardon my
fix that.
language.
That's
See, I'm
it.
getting upset. And I started last week saying make sure the stuff was good.
Right.
I can tell you, counting one by one,
I see what you did there.
that I guarantee you nobody thought to come back and let me check the board
just-
because Deke complained about the board last week. And the volumes are all jacked up.
Let us know, y'all. Come on.
Yeah, let's get the likes up, all right? Before we keep going into this, let's get the likes up, all right?
He said we only got about 50% that have liked the show.
Right.
Come on, yo, we got
624
624
in the chat. Where are these people on a weekly basis?
Right, right. Deacon, you know what? It's provocative. This right here,
I got provocative.
this
huh?
gets the people going.
Yeah, yeah,
provocative.
yeah.
And look, I don't know how this is going to be delivered today with me. It might come out with fury because let me go back. Let me go back
Hold
to
on,
my
hold on.
let me go back to my story. Let me go back to my story. So I'm going to give you part of the story and then I'll give you the rest maybe if I remember when we segue in. So you know, us in leadership, we've been saying, man, look at this stuff, man. A lot of these sisters ain't ready. A lot of them talk about, they don't know, they don't understand. I want a husband. And they don't really want a husband. Not the way the Bible says anyway. What they really want is
Push over.
can I say dick on the air?
I mean, you did.
What they really want is a rod.
Right. The family jewels.
But they can't talk about just the rod, so we have to say husband, right? And brothers too. They say wife, but they really want is box.
This
right?
is true.
A lot of women want just the action. They want the benefits of being a wife. I wouldn't even say of having a husband. They want the benefits of being a wife, and there's a reason that I'm saying it that way, which maybe later I'll expound upon, right? And the genesis of this program called Ladies in Waiting came of that, right? It came of that. I'm trying to see how I want to lay this out. So I'm talking with Captain Joel periodically because he asked for my feedback. So it was primarily Deacon Malachi that was dealing with this. All leadership's aware of the program. But Deacon Malachi has been one of the main guys. Deacon Isaac for some components with the fitness. And me just kind of, operationally looking at the whole thing and the layout. And, I've provided my feedback like all of us in leadership have. I say that to say the program is 100% vetted and backed by leadership, right?
Right.
So because there's a lot of crabby sisters that have complaints about the program from the beginning. And I've heard it throughout. I've heard it throughout.
And hold on, D. A lot of people saying it's going in and out. It's cutting out bad. Audio skipping. I don't want you to.
Oh my goodness.
Audio
did you
sounds
touch
good
something
on
now, or did you guys do something back there?
Bad audio.
No, that's YouTube. That's not
That
us.
was YouTube?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, we don't have any frames dropping. The connection is
It's
green.
cutting out.
Yeah, and it sounds good on my side.
Okay.
Turn on
All
mic,
right.
please. All right.
Okay. You might need to refresh or open and close if that's what's happening.
Yeah,
Said
somebody
it might
said
be
they
your internet.
close and reopen that worked out for him.
Yeah.
It was
okay.
just a connection.
And look, and I'll stop because I'm seeing some comments. Some sisters like the program's wonderful. You know what? Bless your soul. All right. All praises to the Most High.
Right.
Okay.
To the pure, all things are pure.
But I ain't talking about y'all that like the program.
Nah.
I'm talking about the overt and subtle resistance and rebellion I've heard in regards to feedback from certain aspects of the program. Right. I've heard things that have run the gamut from it's too much work. Right? It's too much work. And I have a lot to say about that, as far as then you must not really understand what it means to be a wife in this truth. If you think
What were they doing to prepare without the program?
nothing.
They were
why it's
just
too
they
much
were
work.
literally
Zip.
just waiting.
That's why
Zip.
it's too much work.
Zip. They weren't doing nothing. All right, they weren't doing nothing. I've heard people complain about the topics as if they know all this already. Right? And one of the biggest components of the program, put the thumbnail back up. The other one. Put the thumbnail back up. The original, the advertising one, right? And I've heard people complain about heavily the weight loss component.
Damn.
The weight loss component, right? The weight loss.
Big bag.
As if that's not important.
But that's like one of the major things as a man, proven right now.
Right.
A woman that is overweight, one, it's a risk for your own health. Complications can come up. You're trying to bring forth children. You're going to put on more weight. You understand what I'm saying?
It's selfish on both ends.
On both,
Yeah.
right.
Mhm.
But then at the same time, it's like from a desire standpoint, if I'm going to be in a relationship,
Right.
monogamous, one wife, the rest of my entire life,
Right. Whole life.
whole life,
They ain't no divorce in the Bible.
the least you could do is prepare that body for me.
That's right. That's right.
Because we got to present our bodies as a living sacrifice to the Lord.
Yeah.
The men are getting ourselves in shape.
And for most men, a certain size, certain weight is a deal breaker.
Right.
So you would want to get yourself into a position to where you're ready physically as well as spiritually.
Right.
You know, so
Leave this up. They don't need to see my face. I want them to reflect on the topic. All right. I want them to reflect on the topic. Right. And leave this up as I keep talking about this program. So that's why I said this is a reality check from the Ladies in Waiting program. Because it goes to show me that there's still sisters that don't understand marriage but want to seek a husband. Because you're coming out this program with a blessing.
yeah.
Nobody can forbid you to marry. You don't have to go through the program to get married.
Mm-hmm.
But if you want our blessing, like as far as us here, you want to facilitate a wedding feast here and all this
Right.
stuff like that, you have to go through the program.
Right.
You have to go through the program. You can get married outside the program. You do your own damn thing outside the program if you want. All right. It will be frowned upon because you're doing without guidance.
Right.
Okay. But biblically, nobody can forbid you to marry. Right. You go ahead and you do your thing. But if you want to get set up for success, right,
Right.
then, you know, these are resources that we provide. Just like we have men's program. I never heard a Men of Valor or 300 brother say it's too much work.
Mm-mm.
I have not heard anybody who's gone through the 300, because I'll say 300, not even MOV.
Right.
I'll say 300. I've never heard a 300 brother complain about the workload. Was that a lot of work?
It was a lot of work.
Right? Papers,
yeah.
outlines,
Yeah. Essays.
lots of reading, extra
Essays,
stuff,
reading.
right?
60
Books
days
you
of
gotta read
camp.
and so
60 days of
forth.
You
camp.
did 300?
Yeah.
Did you?
No.
No?
You know,
I do remember it though. It was a whole year's process.
We did camp. It was 60 days of camp during the 300. Right. Mm-hmm. So you had to balance going to camp every day, homework assignments. You had your daily assignments, plus you had your different classes from leadership.
As a single brother, and then you had married men who had responsibilities to their wives and their children.
Yep.
Right? Because sisters will look for any loophole to be rebellious. And you guys, I didn't hear. If anything, all I hear is how amazing the 300 is.
The ones that didn't get the work, that didn't like the work, they didn't make it through the program.
Yeah, because there was some that were kicked off and all that.
Right.
Yeah. But those are outliers.
Right.
The majority love that thing.
Yeah.
What's up, Benson?
I was just gonna say they don't understand how difficult and how challenging it was to be someone that was married with children and a wife and going through that program. We had to suck it up and get it done because we saw the finish line of what we wanted to accomplish and what we wanted to gain out of that program.
Yeah, I think that's the difference. I think invariably, and that's why the flock of God's pasture are men. And I'm not gonna go too much into the dynamics of the male mindset versus the female, but this is what masculinity entails. And as men, we know we have a sense of duty, we have a sense of honor and responsibility. And I remember when I took my jurisprudence and ethics class in college, I was very surprised at that statistic. And they said you would think, because most people, what we have in our head when we think of women, there's a softness when it comes to women.
Right.
That's why they'll use women assassins and women to trip things up, because it puts people's guard down because of perception.
Exactly.
But men, much more so than women, tend to do the right thing purely based off of the principles that they have.
Right.
And now how much more men in the Bible you would think would be principled, right? Women, not so much. There has to be some ulterior motive. Anyway, so I have this up, right? And there's a reality check from the ladies, because I was so vexed hearing some of this stuff as we're nearing graduation of this program. And a lot of these sisters are going to go out and start proving men and marry some of these brothers. And they're not going to be in the right spirit. They're not going to be fit for it, right? So rebellious daughters, unfit brides, when you're not husband ready. When you're not husband ready. And if the shoe fits, put it on, wear it, right?
Cinderella's glass slipper.
Right? And rock with it, You want to say something?
Yeah, I wanted to say that, and as you see in the picture above, like you mentioned, the ones that were complaining about the whole diet or the losing weight, some of the women are married to the food. They are married to the fork that's on their hand. And they expect to get a husband and complain about it and so forth, about the program in general. Some of y'all need to divorce the spoon, the burger, the torta, until you can move on. Look at the lady right there, the heavy set. I would assume it's a
Why
Mexican.
Why be so nice? You afraid?
Right.
He
hold him back. He hold him back.
Remember, we built it.
You afraid?
We built it.
No, man, there's a freaking building with that.
I was about to go into how she's so.
Look at a fat torta.
It's on her stomach.
Hey, you know what gets me? Look how she looking at that hamburger. Go up, Officer O'Daniel.
She's like, I do.
She don't look at her husband that way.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
And you know what? That's the same sister be like, I don't eat that bad. I don't eat that much.
Right.
And you know, on this show, I don't demonize certain types of foods.
No.
Like I don't.
Right. We encourage.
I think all of them can be part of a nutritious diet, right? When you have everything else set, your pillars of health and all that. So look. We gonna go through the gamut of this. I got a ton of scriptures for y'all. Okay, I got a ton of scriptures for y'all.
Nice.
And then I'm also gonna give you some resources to help you eliminate the lies that you call excuses in your head as to why everything we picked in the program was so meticulous and so thorough.
Yeah. And
the big emphasis is going to be on the weight piece, because that is the biggest complaints that I've heard everywhere. That's crazy. Get me that where it says I I don't think I wanted to start with that. First, let me get, is it in Luke about the children and the piping in the marketplace?
Yes, sir.
Get me that first. You could show us now. You could take the picture down. We'll show it later as needed. And brothers, I did post other stuff in the topic content during the week. There were links, there were videos. I want to make sure you have them. Health stuff that I put in. I hope y'all didn't fall off the damn train because of the thumbnail tonight. I've been posting since last week of things that we're going to go over this week. So I want to make sure all of it is there. All right? Make sure you got it. Because I'm going to burn up them excuses. Right? Which are just lies.
Right.
They're all lies.
About justifying your body fat percentage or your BMI.
Mm-hmm.
About lies that you'll tell yourself. And what's wild is that I know it's a spirit because I've heard it from different camps. Like it's not like it's the complaints funnel in centrally. Right. But read this first.
The book of St. Luke, chapter 7 and verse 32. They are like unto children sitting in the marketplace and calling
what
one.
What does it say? I liken this generation. Get that.
Verse 31. And the Lord said, whereunto then shall I liken the men of this generation?
Right, so he's talking to the Pharisees, so he's saying the men. But if the head is off, the body is off, right? So if the men are off, then the women are off. But I'm dealing with the women because here in IUIC, the men is doing right.
Right.
We've helped facilitate a program with the senior sisters and mothers of the congregation as proctors and guides for the program, all right? And there's still sisters like you're just about to graduate, and the rebellion that you have in your spirit is wild. To me, and I know there's gonna be some are gonna be maybe allowed to graduate with like a probationary period. Maybe I don't know. I don't want to give things away or what particulars have been put out. I'm not gonna take away from what Captain Joel's doing, but he's spoken to me about some aspects of it. But some of you might get to graduate, and it's not like you're not fit. Like, we're going to let you graduate, but it's like a probationary type of thing for you to finish meeting up certain goals and stuff like that. But if you had any complaints about this, that we're not justified, because let me just say this. We do want feedback so we can try to do better, right? 300 does the exit survey, right? So that you guys can, right? But we're not going to entertain nonsense, right? So go ahead. This generation.
Whereunto then shall I liken the men of this generation? And to what are they like? They are like unto children sitting in the marketplace.
Right. So this generation is like children sitting in the marketplace. Come on.
And calling one to another.
Right. Meaning they're all murmuring to each other. Go ahead. Come on.
And saying, we have piped unto you, and ye have not danced.
Right. We trying to reach out to you, right? We trying to tell you this, that, and the other, right? And you not trying to dance to our tune. We want to do things our way. Right. Go ahead. Come on.
We have mourned to you, and ye have not wept.
That
was it.
We have mourned to you. So the references with the children and what you get here, the bottom line is, and then get me Titus 2.
Yes, sir.
Is that you have not had teachers. So I've used the scripture to blast the men, and I say the reason we're hard on the men, the reason we do these things the way we do is to provide rigidity that your fathers never did.
Right.
That the single parent households that you were raised up in never did. And likewise for the sisters, your mothers, many of you, all right, majority of you likely, did not get the proper education and understanding to be fit as a woman in general. Right. There's so much lack of etiquette.
Oh my God.
Among these women and sisters. A man is hard. He's firm. Yes, he can have a side of him where he can ease up a little bit, right? But I'm still getting texts. Captain Nahum just told me that every other word is coming through. I don't know if it's anybody who's having issues, y'all just refresh, all right? Because all the levels look all right on our end. So I'm not sure. It might be something on your end. Maybe they're messing with us because of what we're bringing out, all right? But yeah, Captain Nahum just texted me, and he said it wasn't coming through. Okay, everybody else saying sound is fine. All right, you the one, you probably watching on an Android, Captain Nate.
Oh, shots fired. Shots fired.
You didn't have those things in place to teach you properly. Bro, the lack of etiquette alone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that right there is
It's big.
crazy work.
It's big.
Is wild. Is wild. So a man is right. So a man doesn't want more masculine.
Mm-mm.
That's what he has with the homies.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That's what he has with the brothers, right?
That's it.
With women, you expect that femininity, that softness, right? That's the world has lied to you, and I'm going to show you a lot of you basically are on this American doctrine, and that's why you're talking the way you do and stuff like that, right? I was just throwing shade at the Android sister, Brenda. She said my Android has no problem. I'm just throwing shade at Androids. I know you guys get uppity if I mention something negative about the Android, all right? There is no spoon, all right? Phones are phones, all right? Calm down,
No
Android.
spoon.
Calm down, Android people, all right? You gotta send a security detail for me, just from the Android people, right?
Right.
So a lot of y'all didn't have that proper upbringing. So we come in place and we're trying to get ourselves right? Coming out of that Egypt mindset. Same thing that happened in the wilderness to purge all that stuff out.
Right.
And yet you still have sisters amongst us when we put a program like this, right? So let's read this in Titus 2. Come on.
The book of Titus, chapter 2 and verse 3. The aged woman likewise, that they be in behavior as becometh holiness, not false accusers, not given to much wine, teachers of good things.
Now, let me tell you something. Not giving too much wine has more than just the drinking behind that, right? It means that aged women in this walk are able to practice discipline and restraint, right? And the key word being restraint. Because if you can't refrain yourself from whatever appetites you have, then you'll never refrain yourself from the carnal aspect of yourself that you need to keep in check, right? And look, I'm actually very sensitive to certain aspects of dieting and eating. And don't get it twisted. Though they may classify obesity as an illness, it's not an illness like a cold or a virus that you get, right? I think people get it twisted when obesity can be medically treated, but they overlook the aspect of the medical treatment and realize that whatever treatments we have for obesity are actually just supports for behavior modification. And I'll explain what I mean by that in a moment, all right? Finish reading this. Go ahead, come on.
Verse 4, that they may teach the young women to be sober, to love their husbands, to love their children.
And what I think what gets lost in this is that it says teach them to be sober, and they think it means not alcoholic. It says teach them to love their husbands, and they think it just means how to make sure you cook clean.
Affection and all that.
Right, things like that, right? How to love their children, because some of y'all got some fat kids.
Facts.
And that's your fault. There's no reason you should have children that got the right
the turkey.
See, mine don't do that. Look, I don't got the biggest bicep peak, but let me show you something.
Don't do it to him, D.
If you got muscles,
don't do it to him, D.
If you got muscles, now biceps not my strongest body part, but if you got muscles, it don't jiggle. Right? That's not jiggling, right? This ain't jiggling, right?
Right.
If you got any jiggle, any wiggle, that's not muscle.
Wobble,
all right?
baby, wobble, baby.
You have enough muscle as is necessary for you to move your skeleton around. All right?
Right.
But that's not muscle.
Right.
Okay? Muscle don't jiggle, all right? Let me show you.
Uh-oh.
Look.
Don't do it to him, D.
Muscle don't jiggle. Right.
Hey, look.
Right.
You can see
muscle
the
don't jiggle. Right.
The crevices.
See, that's what the back of an arm is supposed to look like.
The striations.
Right? That's what the back of an arm is supposed to look like. Right? That's why it's called a tricep muscle. All right. Put the picture up. Some of y'all got some of your daughters got this let alone y'all.
This is
That's
true.
hatred.
That is not loving your children.
That's hatred.
Yeah, I got the tat. I wasn't trying to get no damn surgery and scar my arm up.
Right.
Yeah, at least he didn't get the Caesar Borgia.
I did that when I was 18 years old. Right, at least I don't got the Jesus piece.
You know,
tat,
Issachar loves
all
getting the Caesar right here.
Right.
It says
right.
we ourselves were sometimes
Right.
foolish.
Shock
You
them
know what
deep.
I'm saying?
Yeah.
Right. I know. People, remember, they
shoot.
say all things are new, right?
Right.
So,
Yeah.
you know,
Right.
I got that tat when I was 18 years old.
They're already trying to
right?
deflect.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
40,
got
I'm
attack.
The hell
I'm going
is
to be
this?
48 years old, all right? Damn. Right?
Hey, why'd you
Look,
take the picture away?
Some, can you put the picture back? Can y'all stop that?
It's up.
They don't need to be, no, but then my
Right,
face is
it's
back
not.
here, bro. It's not up.
I'm
So, right, they don't need to see my face that much. You could put that, all right? Some of y'all, listen, it's unacceptable if you're a woman and you got any variation of this,
Right.
right? And some of y'all got your daughters like this.
Buttermilk biscuits.
That's your fault. Go back to the part now that teacher loved their husband and all that. Come on.
Verse 4, that they may teach the young women to be sober,
Uh-huh.
to love their husbands, to love their children,
Uh-huh.
to be discreet, chaste, keepers at home.
Right. To be discreet, chaste, keepers at home. And there's so much layers that go into that. So this program, the Ladies in Waiting program, was designed to help facilitate that, right? You know, I always talk about Abuela, and she has her wife's school, which she's
Right.
killing it.
Right.
Right? She found a way to make, you know, and while they don't believe in the scripture the way it's supposed to be put out, she at least got the wife thing going. And she's putting respect on the wife stuff,
Yeah,
right?
that's honorable.
Right. So, and you know, so she doing her thing. She made a little business out of that.
Mm-hmm.
We not charging y'all for this.
Right.
Right.
Y'all complaining about the work you got to put in the program. What about these mothers and senior sisters that facilitate the program?
As a labor of love.
As a labor of love.
Mm.
As a labor of love. As a labor of love.
Taking their time to do all these things.
Right.
To teach all these things.
Right. Some of y'all got your daughters like this. So there's a lot of context that happens in that Titus. So we put something in place to help you with that. And this goes into that piping. We want to be taught. We want to be taught. We need these topics. And then when it comes time to apply what you're learning
Fail.
Yeah.
and accountability comes into play, now it's a problem. Now we got the murmuring and whatnot.
Right.
They'll come
Now
back with,
we got the murmuring and everything
the
else.
sister's just big bony.
Right. I just big bone it.
Right.
That's just the way my body is. Look, if the world got you believing to have an arm like that or whatever is like that, you're lost.
Yeah.
That's not normal, and I'm gonna show you that. We're
It's
gonna go
really
through the
not.
history of the obesity.
Yeah.
That's a new thing in the earth. Right. That's a new acceptable thing. Now, get me where such as is common to man. All right, as I want to bring that out, and then get me. Is it in Ezekiel about prophesy against the daughters?
I got it lined up.
There we go.
The book of 1 Corinthians, chapter 10, verse 13. There hath no temptation taken you, but such as is common to man.
Right. And the reason I'm bringing this verse out is to say this. It was amazing to me how many of the BS that I heard and the rhetoric was the same. From the West Coast to the East Coast, from the rooter to the from the rooter to the tutor.
Yeah.
Like if I did a poll
Right.
about complaints, it's that's why I know it's a spirit. Going back to
Right,
what I said
spirit all
beginning.
going around,
There's a
speaking the same
spirit
thing.
all going around, and it's the same spirit of rebellion and being unfit.
Right.
Because I was like, damn, we're hearing this from this school, from
Right.
that school, from this one, you know, and these are just general. Like I really don't know individually who was making these type of, but these are things that we've heard.
Right.
Right? And it's not rumors that we've heard. Like the fact that it's been similar to me even validates it even more.
It's the first time that spirit's really getting exercised.
Yes. Yes.
This coming out.
Or exposed.
Yeah.
Right. And that's why I said I got to go over this. You know what I'm saying? I said I got to go. There's a multitude of things that I can always go over from week to week on the show, but I was vexed, especially when I deal with the health piece, especially after I spent damn near 2 years dealing with marriage improving.
Right.
Between Sabbath classes and shows and, you know, really trying to level things up. So I was very pleased when this program was announced. I said, this is beautiful, right? And then to hear the type of things that I've heard, I just said, "Oh my goodness!" I said, "This is what we got here. This is what we got here."
That's right.
All right. Finish this.
There hath no temptation taken you, but such as is common to man. But God is faithful, who will not suffer you to be tempted above that ye are able, but will with the temptation also make a way to escape, that ye may be able to bear it.
And you want to know what's heavy about that? I know it on its purest form is talking about the temptations of sin that you deal with, right? But that applies to anything. What it means is, and this goes back to what I'm saying, obesity is not a virus. And I'm going to explain my thing, what I said about modifiers. You can change those things.
Right.
It's not cancer. It's not the flu. It's not some sort of sickness, right? Because I know the other thing I'm going to see later, PCOS. So I got something for your PCOS ass. PCOS ass. And like I said, it's not to be insensitive to anybody's condition.
Right.
But when metabolism is metabolism. And no, metabolism doesn't slow as you age. Right? I mean, not really. Not until you're in your senior years. And even then, it's not crazy. Right? No, PCOS does not jack you up to the point that it's insurmountable what you can accomplish. And I'm going to bring receipts to show you that. All right? Because that's why I say it's the excuses and the lies that you put where that way to escape, you block it off.
Right.
You block it off.
Purposely put a veil over their face.
You know, and there's actually, I like Trump a lot, but there was one real great thing that he said one time before we got to see more of him on this platform years back when I was really working on my entrepreneurship. And he was on one of the talk shows and he was going through one of his bankruptcies or something. And the host asked him, you know, are you worried? Like, you know, your empire's at risk and this and that. And he said, no. He said, I don't worry. He goes, because if I worry about it, then I won't be able to put solutions in front of myself and how to navigate it. So he goes, I don't let these things. I said, damn, that's a hell of a mindset to have.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, don't be a victim. Right. Like you can be totally innocent in the circumstance.
Right.
You can be dealt the worst hand. And are you the type of individual that's going to say, I can overcome this and I'm going to look for a way to overcome it, or am I just going to give in? Right.
Be aware, but don't be so doubtful to where you're not finding solutions to move on from that particular situation.
Right.
That's what it is.
Yeah. No, I'm telling you, the PCOS is going to come up and people use that as a block. And I'm going to tell you, when it comes to metabolism and things you got to do, I know it. And I know PCOS very well, right? I understand it, okay? It's a syndrome. It is not a virus. And how do you remedy syndromes? They have a multifactorial approach that they can do. They can put you on hormones if it's a hormone that's lacking. But guess what? The hormone's not going to make you lose the weight until you change the behavior, which is going to lead me back to what I was saying before, right? Don't let me forget Ezekiel about prophesying against the daughters, right? They can try to remedy certain aspects of what you have going on with the PCOS, but then what they do tell you, and what people who like to use it as an excuse won't tell you, is that there's a whole leg of self-application that needs to happen to overcome the PCOS. It's very similar to metabolic syndrome. It's called a syndrome. It's polycystic ovary syndrome, not a virus, a syndrome, meaning it's a multitude of different things that's going on in the body, some hormonal, right? And they can correct some of them hormonally, okay, with great success. But if you don't seek the way out and you don't follow the corrective behaviors with it, right, it's not going to work for you. And then you're just going to use it as an excuse to continue to indulge in your appetites, in your lust. That's not sobriety. That's not restraint.
Right.
It's just as bad as being a drunkard.
That by much slothfulness the building decayeth.
Yes, and that's what winds up happening in those regards, right? And look, I'm not saying you're going to discipline your way through it, right? I'll lean more on men for that because, you know, men, we kind of used to just toughen it up a little bit sometimes, right?
Right.
A lot of it is misinformation, you following a multitude of idiots on the internet that are confirming your bias, and they sound very persuasive and convincing in the type of advice that they give out. and they don't tell you the whole truth behind those things, discipline plays a tremendous part in it. But I don't want to sit here and just be like, just be stronger.
Right.
Hunger cues are strong, right? They can be very overwhelming at times. Okay, like incredibly so. Where it's just the what you're feeling, it's like you're insatiable, the hunger, right?
Yep.
And a lot of times you can only out-discipline that for so long. So to just say be disciplined is not enough. You have to have a remedy in place to deal with that, right? Now, I don't know to what extent the program dealt with that aspect of it. Maybe that's an opportunity where myself and any other maybe qualified people can come in and help on the next round to provide some solutions for sisters for this. But then again, a lot of those sisters are aware of my program, and I talk about stuff like that a lot.
Right.
You can take it upon yourself to get the proper advice to do it. And I've even gone out to say, and I think I don't know if I posted it. I have one. This goes back to my other thing. Let's talk about the Ozempic and the drugs that are out there.
Right.
Am I saying you should run to drugs to help you with your obesity problems? No. What I am saying is that the metabolic syndrome and the PCOS that you have is far more detrimental to you in the long run than any potential side effect that's not life-threatening that you'll get from something like one of those adjuncts if you're obese,
right?
Like that, like those injections or pills. That you shouldn't at least go to a medical professional and see if you qualify to take those things. Because let me tell you how this works, and this goes back to what I'm saying. If you're just using it to try to lose a few pounds and crash, get over a hurdle, and you don't modify your behavior for sustainability for when you come off the medication, which goes back to restraint and sobriety and everything else, right? Because this is what I mean, where it all goes back to this.
Right.
It's not a virus that you just get healed from, and that's the end of it. There's a lifestyle change that happens. And when you take a medication that is now available that helps you with something like that, and I'm not advocating for it, I'm just saying if you are severely obese and you have those type of issues, you should at least get a consult on it. I know it don't seem right. Oh, what am I saying or whatever? I'm not telling you take it. I'm just telling you that don't fall for the BS. You cannot tell me that living with the weight that you're living with, the unhealthy measure that you have, even if you don't think you look that bad,
right?
But if you're in the obese category, there's all types of multifactorial things that's going to be detrimental to your health.
Yep.
You might want to go take a look at that, and they're not going to work if you don't follow. Like it'll crash your appetite, but if you don't mitigate that with proper nutritious, balanced eating, understanding your caloric burn, your total daily energy expenditure, which is what people really get confused metabolism with, then you're gonna rebound and gain all the weight back. Right?
There's still steps you must take.
That's still because then you're still in that great war of ignorance.
Keto,
right?
You know what I mean?
Right.
I hear that, and keto works, high carb, low fat works.
Whichever one you stick to works.
But they all work by reducing calories.
Mm-hmm.
But they do them. The reason I have an issue with those type of things is you can't maintain them as a lifestyle. And that's the problem. This is about changing yourself into a new and better person.
Yeah.
Right? Let me get that in Romans 12. Is it 2?
12 and 2.
Yep.
That's what it's really going into.
The book of Romans, chapter 12 and verse 2.
The programs we have, sisters, they're for members in the body. All right? So if you're not congregating at a school, you may not be aware of some of these things. All right? So I would implore you. I know some of you might be hours away, or there might not be a camp by you. And that's unfortunate for now. Lord's will can grow up and get there. But those of you who can get to a school and you're not going to a school, these are some of the things that you miss out on. There's a lot of things that we don't generally speak of very publicly, right? Ladies in waiting has been mentioned in passing, and I'm not giving away, the the cow with what I'm saying here, so to speak, by saying that we have a program. People know that we do a lot of things to facilitate. Like, we're not just some weird freaking group that gets together and,
as they say.
People think
As they say,
you meet these cult requirements. Not at all, right? Not at all. Right.
We just love our people.
And lifestyle change goes back to what we read in Titus, sisters, about the sobriety, being chaste, good keepers at home, right? What we're going to read later, there's certain aspects of Proverbs 31 and so forth, right? Where did I say go?
I'm going to start at verse 1. Verse 1, I beseech you, therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God, that ye present your bodies a living sacrifice, holy, acceptable unto God, which is your reasonable service.
Right.
And be not conformed to this world.
So what it's saying is that we have to, in everything that we do, and this goes back to the 4 pillars advice that I give out. It starts with God before anything else, right? You got to fix your spirit before anything else more lasting is going to last in your body. And this is why I'm so pissed and why I'm going over this topic tonight is because many of you think that you're spiritual and would profess that you're spiritual. But spirituality, strength in spirit, carries over into the physical.
Definitely.
And you see the changes in an individual. Not just physical as far as transformative physically, right? But you see it in application and how they handle their lives and things like that, right? Look, we're all late from time to time.
Right.
Things happen.
Yep.
But if you the brother, like some officers I got here that are always late, and you haven't changed it, you've been in this truth 8, 9, 10 years, how spiritual are you?
Right.
It's a matter of respect. Like, have respect for your peers, for your brothers that are there, and do better to be on time. Like that, I use that as one example because I want people to harp on, you just talk about weight loss, right? Remember, I said
All
rebellious
aspects.
daughters. I'm talking about there's a spirit behind that.
Right, bring it out.
So there's a whole multitude of things that fall under this type of thing. And this is why it says in verse 2, come on.
And be not conformed to this world.
Don't be conformed to this. And that's, I'm going to tell you something. Some of you got it twisted. And, in our culture, we talk about being thick.
Right.
And all this other stuff, right? Well, we woke now.
Bring it out.
And jiggly is not thick.
Right.
Right? You can be thick and be muscular thick, right? And that be like, what's up, right? Some of you got this joint in your head. Go ahead.
Right.
Show this. All right? I'm just big bone.
Damn.
There is no skeleton that looks like that.
Right.
That's just more excuses.
That's my build. Look, your muscle insertions, yes, they determine your build, right? The shape of your head, yeah, that's your skeleton.
Right.
There ain't no skeletons that look like this.
Never
that I'm
in
just
life.
big bone, right?
Never in life. That's AI.
Right. That's just my shape. I didn't know fat was a shape.
Right.
Right? Shape is, like I said, I don't got a big biceps peak, right?
Right.
That has to do with muscle insertions. Or I'll use another one. Some of you guys with calves, right? Some of you guys have weird calves, right? He said me.
Damn.
Hold up.
My calves are my strongest.
Oh, my gosh.
My
Oh,
calves are my
praise the
legs.
Lord. That's a tough one. That's a tough
Right.
one to build.
Rhino calves.
But it's because of the way my muscle was inserted. But if I was fat and I had cankles,
Right.
you wouldn't see that. It would be all covered by fat.
Right.
I can flex my calf and you'll see the little distinction of the outline of the muscle. Right?
Yep.
Is that I'm saying some of y'all lying to yourselves with this big boned stuff, right? Yeah, look at this. Show that, right? X-ray of a 400 kilogram man, and there's not a big bone skeleton in there. Right?
Damn.
Right.
Nobody is big boned. Stop it. Be not conformed to this world. Stop it.
That's what it is.
Get
Those
some
bones
help.
look like it's going through a lot of stress.
Right. Imagine the organs.
Right.
Well, we've
Visceral
shown that
fat
too.
and all that.
We've shown all the fat
Yep.
and what it does to the organs,
Yeah,
right?
remember we showed that.
And that's really
crazy.
what it comes down to when we're pushing these sisters to meet a certain standard, and then they're rebellious about the whole damn thing, right? There is no big bone. There is no justified shape that you have. And I'm going to show you that historically, that our women, when they say they were fair, a lot of them think they were thick and fair.
Right.
No, sisters. No.
Negative.
That's a new nooka thing.
That's the culture bull crap.
That's a culture BS. That's a new thing in the earth.
That's right.
Go ahead, Benson.
Hey, for those of you that don't know, 400 kilograms is 881 pounds.
God damn.
Fix it, Jesus.
Right. And that's a 880. That he's almost 1,000 pounds, and his skeleton look like everybody else. There ain't no big bone.
That's crazy work.
There ain't no big bone. There ain't no big bone. Let's go back. Read this.
And be not conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind.
Can we get the definition of transform? Maybe that'll put a little more perspective, right? And notice how he says by the renewing of your mind.
Mm-hmm.
Because when it happens here, and I'm going to say this, I've said this before, I can't give you a scripture outside of where it talks about the heart and the heart speaks.
Mm-hmm.
People go, where's the soul reside? Where's the soul? In my opinion, Deacon Yahshua's opinion, not the Bible's opinion, in my opinion, that's what's in here. Right? That's why when they say when you're brain dead, there's nobody there, whatever it is. Like real brain dead, not the brain dead where they're trying to take your organs type of stuff in the hospital. This is why they can't map the brain fully. This is why there's things that they can't get in there. The electrical energy that's in there and everything. For me, right, we know that the scripture says the heart is the mind, right? In my opinion, this is my opinion, no, and I'm saying this multiple times, so nobody tries to clip it out and say, oh, Deke said that. This is me telling you, the soul is here. So there's a reason that it starts with the mind. And everything has to happen here. And that's why you hear things like sobriety, restraint,
right?
All these type of things. Because where are those things facilitated, right? Here. So if you've built your soul, that pillar of God is the foundation, and then you work on the other three, which is your sleep hygiene.
Right.
Which is your exercise regimen, which ideally should be done intelligently. In the beginning, anything works. If you weren't doing nothing, anything works. Right? You say, oh, but it worked for me, and now it's not working anymore.
Right.
Forward motion's better than no motion.
Right. You know, I'll take it. Right. But good programming, right? You know, and nutrition, diet, and I don't mean a diet. I don't mean keto, South Beach carnivore, right? I'm talking about things that we've done ad nauseum in the scriptures on this show, right?
Yep.
That we've gone over, and we talk about that, and it all boils back to there is not a brother in our fitness group here that has started taking the calorie tracking seriously and has not seen results.
No. We've seen more progress in the last 3 to 6 months than we've ever seen.
2 weeks ago, was it? Maybe 3.
Right.
Ashaya made green. Officer Ashaya.
Right.
2-3 weeks later, he's still busted. He's 2 percentage points down more in 2 weeks. Some of you can't make that percentage budge 0.5 in a week.
Right.
In 2 weeks, he went from 26 to 24 and change.
Right.
Yeah.
And he's following the calorie thing.
Right. He's tracking now. Remember, he was asking questions and all that?
He's tracking. He's following the calorie thing. Stop listening to people that say calories don't matter. Stop following the fad diets, because what the calories does is when you come up, if you ever decide you don't want to track, thank you. Post that up. I'm proud of him, because he was in his 30s, no?
Right.
Yeah, he was up
24.4. Now he's real green. Because let me tell you, the 26% that we have is still technically considered obese. I'm going to show you that later.
Right.
Now he's real green. Right?
That's some good stuff.
And follow these things, and you'll move from there. Read this again. Come on.
And be not conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind.
Let me get the definition of transform. Let's read that.
Transform. Make a thorough or dramatic change in the form.
Right. So it's a thorough and dramatic change. It's not a subtle thing.
Right.
It's not a little piece. It says you'll be transformed. Right? Go ahead. Come on.
Change in the form, appearance, or character of.
Yes. Right? It's a dramatic change in your form, appearance, and character. Now, read this verse again. Come on.
And be not conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind.
You're not big boned. You're not thick. All right? It's not okay, because I'm going to show you medical numbers of obesity standards, because I'm hearing some people say, oh, my doctor doesn't say it's that bad. My doctor doesn't say that. They say I'm perfectly fine.
But the doctors here in Western medicine, they're not here to heal.
You're above 35% body fat.
Right.
And listen, I'm going to tell you, this goes back to such as this comment to man. I haven't run them accurately, but the average sister in the program is 5'5", and they're all over 200 pounds.
Fix it, Jesus.
All right?
Crazy. Yep.
Like they're
That just think about it. I'm 6'3", that most of them weigh more than I do. That's crazy work.
Right. And I'm telling you, these sisters is mad and they're upset that we're putting the pressure on them to take care of their health. Let alone all the other aspects of the program and how difficult it is. Like they got like they freaking. Bro, I happened to overhear one of the calls that my wife was on with them, and bro, the questions that I'm hearing, and so it's the senior sisters and the senior mothers that are fielding the questions from the participants,
right,
and asking certain things. So this is how I got my consensus, and as well as some conversations that I had with Joel, with Captain Joel about this stuff.
Yep.
It has to be transformative, and that's what we're trying to do. But yet they don't want to transform.
Right.
That's it, 'cause they're
what I'm
still
saying.
stuck in the world.
They want a rod. They don't want a husband. It's just in order to get a rod here, it has to be done under the constraints of marriage.
Right.
So they say, okay, I got to do it by having a husband. And they don't really want to be a wife. They just want the benefits of a wife. And they don't want to have to do all the other stuff that comes with it.
Lord have mercy.
And that's really what the issue is, right? That's really what the issue is, right?
So
and let me tell you something. Most doctors don't know crap about nutrition. Most. Not all. Because, again, if you advocate well for yourself, you can give pushback on these things.
I went to the doctor recently, and the doctor that did my blood panel, bro, she was like 5'5" and weighed a good 260, 270.
Right.
Herself.
Let me tell you, I can't take a fat doctor serious.
Right.
Right? You know what I'm saying?
Like look at your health.
anybody.
Yeah. Look
Crazy.
at your health, and you're
like
over
a
here talking to me about
fat
my health.
pastor.
Right.
And you can't apply any of you got all this knowledge.
Right.
And you can't apply it to yourself.
Yeah.
Fat doctors, bye-bye.
Right.
All
That's
right?
right.
It don't make no sense. It don't make no sense. Would you take financial advice from a crackhead?
Right.
Look at that. Look at that. He got the stethoscope, so, you know.
Right.
It must be, right?
You can't take it serious, man.
Yeah.
You cannot
Listen,
take that
and
serious.
this is what I'm saying. What's the problem with what's going on? Sisters, you can't go through a program like this and not be transformed. And if you're murmuring, if you're complaining about certain aspects of the program, these are the questions that you have when you're weeks away from graduation.
Right.
What have you learned? What have you really learned?
That's right.
You're conformed to this world. Get that stuff out of your head. Now, let me see where I want to go with this.
Ezekiel.
Yeah, let me get Ezekiel.
The book of Ezekiel, chapter 13 and verse 17. Likewise, thou son of man, set thy face against the daughters of thy people, which prophesy out of their own hearts, and prophesy thou against them.
Right, and that's what it is. Y'all saying stuff out of your own mind, right? And remember, I told you in my assessment, the soul is here.
Right.
So what that tells me is when you prophesy out of your own heart is that the carnal is in there. That's not the spiritual sister. That's not the inner man of the heart. That's not the spirit of Christ that's in your mind.
That's the corruptible body pressing
That's
down
the
the soul.
corruptible body pressing down the soul versus the other way around.
That's right.
Then what
That's right.
Paul says, right? Let's get that in 1 Corinthians 9. Let's read that real quick.
The one I just quoted?
Yes. 1
Book of
Corinthians
Wisdom,
9.
Wisdom of Solomon.
No, I wanted 1 Corinthians 9. About
keep under my body?
Keep under my
Yes,
body.
sir.
Because I'm dealing with the discipline part. You go to wisdom after.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead,
The
come
book
on.
of 1 Corinthians, chapter 9 and verse 27. But I keep under my body.
Starting the verse above it.
Verse 26. I therefore, verse 25. And every man that striveth for the mastery is temperate in all things.
Right. So if you're striving for mastery in anything, right, you'll be temperate in all things, right? You can't say I got everything else on point and then you've not transformed yourself and you're comfortable with an unhealthy aspect of your life, whether that be weight. And, you know, some people carry the fat well.
Right.
Do you know people don't remember how fat I was? I was telling Captain Carrazza that I've lost like 38 pounds overall over the past like 3 years.
Right.
And he's like, you were never that heavy. I said, bro, I was that heavy.
You didn't look at the...
Right, that's
That's
his
right,
point.
right,
That's his
right.
point.
So this
Yeah.
is my point, right? Because I worked out.
Right.
Yeah.
So, you know, I had a lot of mass. I was kind of stocky, but I had my belly.
Right.
Right. And in certain angles, that thing was looking crazy. My face was all fat and everything like that. And my blood work was not good. I had fat in my veins. It's called triglycerides. You could have tapped me to oil your pan. All right? These are the things that you got going on inside of you just thinking of appearance.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. You got to be transformative. And I'm going to show you the statistics. If your BMI or your body fat percentage number is in an unhealthy range, the rest of you is not healthy. I don't care what anybody says. If you have a doctor that you have a high BMI and a high body fat and is not pushing you to that, you need to get a different doctor. Right?
Facts.
Go ahead, read.
And every man that striveth for the mastery is temperate in all things.
Uh-huh.
Now they do it to obtain a corruptible crown, but we an incorruptible.
See, when you're conformed to this world, you're like, what's the big deal? Why are you guys stressing me about this? Because we're trying to build you up. If you're faithful in little, how will you be faithful in much? You think you're going to obtain the kingdom with that type of mindset and you can't even just face your lack of restraint, your lack of sobriety? Like, you can't really make the effort that you need to make. Listen, if you're at this point in the program and the weight standards were part of it from the beginning, if you're at this point in the program and you're upset about weight standards, you had a whole year and some change to do right to meet your goals.
And we've seen sisters make changes, crazy changes.
Right. Those are the ones that have their mind on the things that are incorruptible.
Right.
Their mind is still corrupt. They're thinking about, like Deke said, the corruptible things. They just in the program because they want to get married. So some of them are in vain, not taking into consideration nothing.
That's
it. They're doing the time.
They're treating the program to do the time.
Did my bid.
That's why it says rebellious daughters and unfit brides.
Yeah.
Some of you will graduate, but you just did the time. There was no transformation.
And you know that. And you know that.
You know that. You know that. You might slip by us.
And some dumbass brother's gonna fall for that.
And some dumb brother just gonna do it. I was gonna burn.
Yeah, whatever.
Until he wants you to lose weight.
Not realizing the weight and gravity.
That's right.
Go ahead, read this.
Now they do it to obtain an corruptible crown, but we an incorruptible. I therefore so run, not as uncertainly.
Right.
So fight I.
This walk is a fight. And that goes in every aspect. A lot of times I bring this out and we're only talking about the man and the things that we do. I'm dealing with you women and you sisters. You have to fight. And guess what? He's talking about the fight with yourself. He ain't talking about the fight out there. As we keep reading, you're going to see he's talking about the fight within yourself. Hey, come on.
So fight I, not as one that beateth the air, but I keep.
You know what's beateth the air? Let me do this keto diet.
Right.
Let me do this South Beach diet. Let me get 10,000 steps and, not worry about anything else, right? Let me not track what I'm eating and just, I don't eat that bad. Let me tell you something, and I don't think people are lying when they say that. By and large, people don't understand nutrition. They don't know what is nutritious. They're not aware of how calorically dense foods are. Many people don't look at the labels of what you eat, right? I've shown clips, and I don't know if I've posted any with the guy that shows all the food. We could show him again, right? And he shows you, like, you're like, but I ate yogurt and berries. Yeah, but how much of it?
Right. No, it's facts. And until you start tracking, you're not even aware of it.
Right.
Yeah.
How much of it? Most of you don't realize it because there's a auto shut-off valve when you fill your gas tank. But if you keep trying to pump gas past when the thing shuts off, what happens?
It spills over.
Right. That's fat.
That's a good point. Wow. Yeah.
That's calories. Food is fuel. The same way it spills over. Once your tank is full, your tank is full. Once you have what your body needs to sustain itself, to even optimize itself, because what it needs to sustain itself is far left than optimizing itself. Everything else then starts to get stored.
That's heavy.
And I'm oversimplifying it. Yes, there's some nuance to it. Carbs are not the enemy, right? They just need to be used strategically. What overeating carbs? The body doesn't store carbs as fat. It doesn't turn into fat. A sugar's a sugar. It doesn't turn into fat. What happens is the overeating of carbs prompts your body to not release the fat stores that you have. So the people that say you eat fat to lose fat, this is why I think keto is a little moronic. It only works because of the calorie deficit.
Right.
Right? It's not because of the eat fat to burn fat. Fat is what your body stores. If you eat fat, it will store fat. Right? The only thing that can prompt, and again, it's a very complex process. You can get what's they call glucogenesis from amino acids, but it's the way your body produces it. It's not what it does is it'll break down the muscle and then kind of go through a complex process that turns it into sugar. But because that's what glucose is sugar, and that's what your body needs. But without getting too sciencey about that stuff, carbohydrates don't get stored as fat. Fat gets stored as fat. So what happens is when you overeat, because you can overeat on keto, right? It's actually kind of worse because
of the fat
content that you're eating.
That's right.
Yep. Of the fat content that you're eating, right? So a lot of things are done in ignorance, right? We're going to read.
So fight I, not as one that beateth the air, but I keep under my body.
Right, so not as one that beateth the air, I keep under my body, meaning I'm focused. I know what I need to address. I get the tools that I need to address these things, and I deal with them, right? I had not known sin, except the law has said thou shalt not covet.
Right.
And what that did was it made him realize everything that was inside of him. Now, I'm using this for diet because it still kind of applies because it still all starts here. And
the
that's
awareness
the point.
of it.
It's the awareness of it. And when I hear comments like I'm hearing, you're an unfit bride.
Right.
You're a rebellious daughter. You just did time in a program so that you can get a blessing.
Right.
Go ahead, come on.
But I keep under my body and bring it into subjection.
Right. You bring your body into subjection, not the other way around. Right? You keep under your body, not let the body keep the spirit pressed down.
Right.
Go ahead, come on.
Lest that by any means, when I have preached to others, I myself should be a castaway.
Right. Now, again, he's talking about sin, but it still applies. Because if you can conquer sinful behavior, then what that tells me is that you've not been tempted with the sin that you can't overcome yet.
That's heavy.
Yeah. That's a good one.
Because if you struggle with the things that you need to do to transform your life, and this could go from the example that I gave from lateness, it could go from unprofessionalism at your job, whatever it is, and specifically dealing with this health piece and what you're going to learn and pull from this program to be a wife. And I'm harping on the physical piece because that's actually the easiest one. And if you can't check that, you can't tell me that you're a strong spiritual individual.
They're connected.
That's true.
They are connected.
They're connected. They're connected. Now, bring out what you had in wisdom.
The book of Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 9 and verse 15. For the corruptible body presseth down the soul, and the earthly tabernacle weigheth down the mind.
Right. And the earthly, what is, man, read it again from the top.
For the corruptible body presseth down the soul.
Right. All of that presseth down the soul. But Paul said, I fight that thing. Not like I beat the air. I know and understand this, so I don't let anything seep in that shows any type of insobriety. Right?
Yep.
Go ahead, come on.
And the earthly tabernacle.
This is the body, your flesh, the earthly tabernacle. Come on.
Weigheth down the mind.
Weigheth down the mind. And this is why it says, be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. It starts here. And when it says it weigheth down the mind, he's talking about the soul. Read it from the top again.
For the corruptible body presseth down the soul.
Come on.
And the earthly tabernacle weigheth down the mind.
That's why I say, for me, in my mind, the soul is here in your brain, right? Because you can read this verse, and the way it's worded,
Spirit of your mind,
lets you know that it's here and it's connected. That's
right.
where the soul resides. That's why everything's in your mind. That's where the battle starts. So when you come with that rebellion, when you come with that stuff, like we read in Ezekiel, that they prophesy out of their own hearts, this is what winds up happening.
That's right.
And you hear these dumb excuses, right? And you're not fit to be a bride. You're not fit. You're gonna graduate a program, but you're not really fit. And you're the one that's gonna have to face that down.
That's right.
It's heavy.
And you're the one that's gonna have to face that down and deal with that, right? And then I just can't get over the offense when somebody tries to come in. Because let me tell you, you can try to tell them nicely. You know, people get offended even if you tell them nicely. Their breath
it don't matter
stinks.
which way. It don't matter which way you say it.
You could tell them their breath is strong, and they'll be all offended.
Right.
Right? Like they'll be like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
damn, I'm just
You
trying
can
to
just
look
say,
out for you.
here, eat this gum.
It don't matter how you say it.
What are you trying to say?
Right.
Deacon, If I could bring this out real quick, going into what we're talking about now. Proverbs 18, let's read verse 1. Solomon talked about these things and the detriment.
Let me make sure I wasn't going over that one. Hold on.
Okay, yeah. I was reading this today.
Espérate.
I was reading this today, so I'm like, this is fitting right here.
Because I have some proverbs. I haven't even got to all my verses yet. I definitely want to make sure I get through all my scriptures tonight.
Now you cooking though.
I know. No, you could go ahead. Oh wait, which verse were you gonna go to?
18:1.
No, you could go to 18:1.
Right.
We're gonna go to 18 later, but not.
Okay.
No. I'm sorry. That was Sirach that I had. But go ahead. You bring it out.
Yeah, no. Read Proverbs 18:1. Watch what Solomon said.
The book of Proverbs, chapter 18 and verse 1.
And I want you to think about everything Deke's mentioning. I want you to think about the program that we have and the excuses and the lies that all these sisters are making. Whoever it may be, read that.
Through desire, a man
or a woman, through desire, a man or a woman, go ahead,
having separated himself.
Now, mind you, they're in the program. So if they got into the program, their mind should say, listen, I'm going to convert myself as a little child, right? I'm going to, make sure that my mind is ready to take in whatever these sisters are saying who have experience and knowledge. Not only in the things that they learned in the world that might be productive, but also the things that they learn in the scriptures. So through desire, a man or a woman having separated themselves from that based off their excuses or whatever the case may be, go ahead.
Seeketh and intermeddleth with all wisdom.
And that's the crazy part. So rather than taking in the wisdom that is coming from the experienced sisters as well as the scriptures and as well as the elders that is over that, they still get some kind of wisdom somewhere else.
Right.
So they say, like he was mentioning the stuff about the certain syndromes.
So I'll give you an example. No, don't even get that technical.
Okay.
Right? You're taking wisdom, whether it's spiritual wisdom, which is above all wisdom, or worldly wisdom. The mindset that this is my shape, that I'm big bone.
That's it.
That I'm not eating that much, or I'm not eating that bad, and that's a confusion. I've gone over this before. You don't think of bad and good foods. You have less nutritious and more less nutritious and more nutritious, right? They're taking wisdom from somewhere.
That's the point.
When you say keto, that you're taking wisdom from somewhere
else,
right? Go ahead.
Yeah, but the program is here. These are spiritual men, spiritual sisters who have set this up. You've got you got Deacon who has set up the diet and all that. It's all set up already. And if you trust in the Lord, obviously you should trust in the men and the women who have authority over this particular office or particular what is it called? Program. Thank you.
Hey, Elishaba. So here's the beautiful thing about proper nutrition: is there a program for underweight sisters? You need to eat more calories.
That's what it is.
And put on healthy weight, which would be muscular weight.
That's right.
So you prioritize protein, you minimize saturated fats, and you prioritize fiber. And eat whatever you like within your caloric range that you need to meet your goal. It's really not that complicated.
That's it.
Prioritize those three things. Reduction in saturated fats. Right, because that's the thing that's really the issue, right?
Saturated,
and a lot of our foods is loaded with saturated fats, right? I mean,
fried foods.
Look at Southern food.
Yep, fried food.
A lot of hidden trans fats.
Everything starts with a stick of butter.
That's fat.
Everything starts with a stick of butter. That's pure saturated fat, right? And it's not that butter by itself is bad, but a stick of butter. You know what I'm saying?
Yep, Crisco.
Heavy cream, Crisco, whatever, saturated fats. And I'm trying, and I'm oversimplifying it for you, but I'm telling you the key points that you focus on. Eat the appropriate protein for your weight and goals, right? And there's a ratio, like per kilogram or per pound, of how much protein you should have. Right. Reduce saturated fat to within the acceptable range, which I think is below 20 or 25 grams a day, right? Prioritize fiber, right? You should be getting 20, 30 grams minimum per day. Right,
that's what makes you feel full, right?
That's what makes you feel full, right?
And
that's what feeds the healthy gut microbiome in your stomach, right? And everything else just a toss up after that, right? And within the calories. So if your goal is to lose, it's less fuel, and if your goal is to gain, it's more fuel.
That's it.
But not so aggressively that you wind up getting fat and unhealthy, right? You do it in a healthy manner. That's oversimplifying it. It takes a little more nuance than that, but that's basically what it is.
And y'all see my point now. We have the program. We've got the wisdom. We've got the understanding.
Right.
But watch verse 2. Let's finish it off.
Verse 2. A fool have no delight in understanding.
But a fool don't give a damn. They have no delight in the understanding that is being brought forth. Go ahead.
But that his heart may discover itself.
No, they rather spill out their own opinions and whatever they think and deem as correct and righteous, whatever the hell it may be, that's what they gonna pour out. And who the hell with us?
Right.
The hell with us.
Hey, and I'm gonna tell you something. I'm not a big fan of telling you which food to eat, that you gotta eat this particular food. I talk as far as macro and nutrition is concerned. Right. So I'm not gonna tell you have to eat broccoli. If you don't like broccoli, don't eat broccoli. There's other vegetables you can have. But vegetables should be a foundation in your diet because that's where you're gonna get most of your fiber. Fruits are good for you, right? And listen, can you overeat the fruits? Absolutely, right? If you're eating bowls of fruit at a time, right, you'll go over the calorie range, right? And then your body won't liberate the fat, okay? But vegetables is one of those things that's kind of hard to overeat.
Right.
Unless it's like covered in cheese or drenched in ranch, then you could probably eat a ton of it, right? But it's kind of hard to overeat because of that satiety that you get and how full you feel, right? But I'm not going to say that you can't have rice and potatoes and bread either. There's nothing wrong with bread either. The problem is that what most people think are carbs, they're actually more fats. You think carbs are pizza and donuts. Carbs are fruits. Carbs are whole grains. Carbs are things like certain juices, right? All those things in their natural form before you add fats and stuff to it aren't very high in fat.
Right.
They're actually relatively high in fiber. They carry a good nutrition profile, right? I'm hearing, don't eat oatmeal because of this, that, and the other. Stop with the bullshit. Like, it's just so much BS out there.
Right.
Like, these are things that'll help you and control your appetite in a healthy way and give you sustained glucose release, right? Like, your blood sugar doesn't rise and crash, right? It'll give you a nice rise and then a steady flow of energy with it, right? It's just that you're all over the place because you're not letting yourself be grounded in what the scripture says about those things.
Separated yourself.
And I'm telling you, I've said it before, I implore you, just do it for 3 weeks. Track your calories. Even if you're not trying, even track and weigh everything you eat for 3 weeks. And within the first week, you're going to be so surprised at how much you actually overeat. Show the video of the example.
That's crazy.
You had the video up with the calories. Why are you acting dumb? You just had it up. You showed
that's
the muffin
on here,
and everything
make
else.
sure you hit that like button. Get the likes up to help our algorithm.
You had the muffin and I eat a lot, I eat a little. Like, come on, you just had it up. I've shown this one before. I thought I put a new one up. Maybe
there's another one.
There's a couple.
Right, with the other guy, that with the beard,
Yep.
right? I like his because he gives you a full day of eating, and he
right.
shows you the difference of the calories of a full day of eating. But go ahead, you can show this one for the sake of time.
You just believe.
I eat a little versus I eat a lot. I've shown you guys this. And you'll say to yourself, I didn't eat that much today. Because you're right. You had a muffin and a coffee all day, right? And it's more calories than what's here. Now, mind you, this is marginal. It's 18 calorie difference. But he's showing you versus, look at how much more filling those meals would have been, how much better you would have felt throughout the day eating something like that, right? More balanced. I like the other guy with the beard because he kind of shows you similar meals and little tweaks that make them, because some of you think you're eating nutritious. Yeah, that's a good one. You could show that one. That's a real great one. Show that, and then I want to get the obesity slides ready, and I'm going to talk about a few things, all right? Because I want to go into this mindset that people have.
You got it.
Because I started
it's in the general chat, you guys.
While they get this video ready, so I started meditating, and I said, obesity is a new thing in the earth. I said, in America, I know the United States ranks very high in the obesity thing. I said, obesity is a new thing in the earth. And what you have to understand is that I'm harping on this dietary part, but don't forget what we just went over scripturally about the spiritual element of it. Yeah. You can't come out of this program with the mindset of not having met some sort of progress physically. Because remember, transformation is shown not just in character, but in physical appearance as well, right? Good. Let's show this guy, right? Come on. Give you an example of the confusion with food.
On this side, we have the, I don't get it. I don't eat that much, and I eat really healthy. On this side, we have the, I wouldn't be able to eat that much food. Let's compare breakfast. Bagel with cream cheese versus egg, Greek yogurt, and fruits. Let's go with lunch.
So go back
Heavy
to the bagel.
dressings.
Hold on. Go back to the bagel. Go ahead. You got to play from the beginning? I get it. You didn't download it. It's fine. Are you able to pause it, though? Because I want to pause. Okay. Okay. Go ahead.
We have the, I don't get it. I don't eat that much, and I eat really healthy. On this side, we have the, I wouldn't be able to eat that much
So
food.
stop. This is what I hear time and time again from people that make excuses for their weight and unhealthy metabolic profile.
Right.
I couldn't eat that much food because I don't eat that much.
Right.
Go.
Let's compare breakfast. Bagel with cream cheese versus egg, Greek yogurt, and fruit.
Bagel with cream cheese. The plate on the right looks like there's more food, right?
You got eggs, yogurt, blueberries.
It probably weighs more,
right,
even, than the bagel and cream cheese.
Right.
It's less calories by almost 50 calories, right? You got 8 hard-boiled eggs, right?
Right.
You got Greek yogurt, you got fruit.
Far more nutritious.
Very
as well.
far more nutritious, very balanced profile. And the bagel and cream cheese. This is for the people who say, oh, I couldn't eat that much. You're eating more.
Right.
You're eating more.
But it don't look like it. It's crazy.
And it goes to show you how filling
Uh-huh.
a low-calorie diet can be if you pick the proper foods. All right, go ahead.
Fruits. Let's go with lunch. Heavy dressing salad versus chicken.
Stop. Heavy dressing salad.
Guilty.
Heavy dressing salad. Hold on. I'm going to say it
I'm
a few more
guilty
times.
of that one.
Heavy dressing salad.
The word
Right.
heavy is in there.
Heavy dressing salad.
Right.
But I'm eating a salad.
It's
First of
heavy.
all, I seen some of the sisters that come here.
Bro, don't
It's the
don't do
big
it to
ass
him.
Tupperware.
Don't do it to him.
You seen Saving Sarah Marshall?
Yep.
And you seen the scene in the beginning where he's eating the cereal, and it's out of this big ass Tupperware bowl.
Right.
The whole box of the cereal fits in there. And he fills it up with milk and he eats it like that. People come with this big ass Tupperware and they like, oh, it's all greens.
Right.
And then you throw in all this ranch dressing on it, and you smash that whole thing.
Big back salad.
And it's a big back salad. Let me tell you something. That's a salad with chicken and dressing, and it's 798 calories. I can go to McDonald's and get their $5 meal. I'm not saying it's the most nutritious as far as vitamins and stuff.
Right.
Which comes with a double cheeseburger, 4-piece McNugget, and a small fry, and it's probably about the same amount of calories as that, if not slightly less.
Dang, crazy work.
Yeah, that's wild.
But you have this misnomer in your head, right? And listen, you can have dressing on your side. I've said this before. A standard serving of dressing is 2 tablespoons, which, depending on the viscosity of the dressing, is around 30 milliliters, right? I know this because I track a lot, so, right? And I kind of know what it looks like, right? Brother was like, damn, you got your cheese measurement spot on the other day. So I'm nasty with it. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah, like you just, even pouring stuff, I weigh it, and it's like, that's just one more drop. Boom, I got the serving. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because I got used to
Exercise.
it. And then what that does is when I'm not able to weigh in stuff, I'm able to visualize on the fly, and I kind of have an idea of what's...
Like when you're going out and eating.
Yes, and
Right.
if I go out and eat, if it's not available calorie-wise, I kind of know how to make certain... Like I went out on Monday with Officer Ophir, came out here so we can do some business, and I said, all right, we're going to go to this restaurant. I said, the calories are available. I said, but I didn't feel like pre-planning it. I said, all right. I said, I'm going to have a steak. I said, I can go with the sirloin or the filet mignon. I said, they're both going to be ultra lean and high in protein, right? So I did the filet, right? And I said, and you know what? I said, I'm going to do the steamed veggies instead of the mash because I know they're going to put a lot of butter and cream in the mash, and that's going to jack me up on my fats. Not the carbs. Fine. I could have asked
The
for a plain baked
fats.
potato or something.
Right.
I said, I'm going to do the vegetables because I want some of their garlic thyme butter on my filet mignon. And if I do the mash, the calories are going to be crazy. But if I do a tablespoon of butter, that's only 11 grams of fat.
Right.
I said, but if I do the mash, that's 300-400 calories and maybe 20-30 grams of fat. And that was my meal.
People don't think like that when they go out to eat.
Right. And I was able to do that on the fly and have a real tasty meal because I know what I consume.
So you track.
Many of you don't know. You don't know. You don't know. You think because it's in the group of veggies or this and that, and then you forget all the other things that you add in it. I've said this before. I've shown the calories from like a salad and go salad.
Right.
They're about as much as a burger from a fast food place. Granted, you're going to get more vitamins and minerals for it, but when it comes to what's going on in your metabolism, overdone. Go ahead, play it.
Asparagus and rice. Let's add in a little
stop. Hold
ice.
on real quick. And you're supposed to toss the salad. The dressing doesn't sit on top, and then you throw another layer, right? You wait, you put the dressing in. That's why, like, for example, you go to Salad and Go or you go to these places that it's a big bowl.
Yep.
You shake it up, right? You toss the salad so that the dressing coats it all.
Right.
It's not supposed to be like ketchup on a burger, right? Or mayo on a sandwich.
Right.
Okay? It's supposed to coat all the veggies that's in the salad, and a serving of it is enough. You can have ranch if you want to. If it fits your calorie profile, a serving of it. Hell, you could have 2 servings of it if it fits your profile of what you're trying to follow for the day.
Right.
Right? But some of y'all, you blow it out the water. He showed salmon, rice, and asparagus at 498 calories, and a salad
7-something.
almost 800, 798.
798.
Go ahead, come on.
Tea into that. Now let's go into snack. Brownies versus fruits. Let's go to
So you see how little them brownies were? I don't eat that much.
Right.
I don't eat that much. And then all those fruits. Go ahead, come on.
Where we have our sweet potato fries, rotisserie chicken, salad with heavy dressing versus ground beef, sweet potatoes, and zucchini.
Stop. Look at that. Look at the difference in comparison, right? Go ahead, come on.
And last but not least, we have our, it's only a bagel with peanut butter and a little brownie versus blueberries and dark chocolate. This is why.
Stop. Look at the total calorie difference.
Bruh.
That's a huge
That's insane. You see how that adds up through the course of a day?
Right.
And you say, but I don't eat that much. And I eat well, and I don't eat that bad. Right. It's hard for me to stop. It's 1,000 calorie difference.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, eyeballing isn't
There's
sufficient.
3,500 calories in a pound of fat. 1,000 calorie difference every day, 7 days a week. You're gaining 2 pounds of fat every week. And I'm oversimplifying it. There's a lot more that happens there. It's not that simplistic, but
imagine eating like this on the right, 1,800 calories, and then you're exercising.
And I'm gonna tell you, most people exercising on 1,800 calories, like that's a conservative cut for me. 1,800 calories. I could eat all that food comfortably on a diet.
Right.
Right. Now, if I get deep into a diet, I gotta go deeper or increase activity or stuff like that. Right. Anyway, so, right now, let me get the obesity charts. Because I want to bring my verses out. I got more verses. I know we've brought scriptures out, but I want to bring my verses out. Okay. First, let me start with that. That's fine. So, we've put, and I'll put this out there as far as the program's concerned. And let me tell you something. I saved you sisters. I intervened on your behalf because they were using BMI.
Right.
Which I think is a poor metric without body fat information. I think BMI is doesn't, remember I've spoken about this. I think the fat-free mass calculator is more appropriate as far as a measure of health because that one actually shows you. It's like the inverse of BMI. It takes into account that you have more muscle mass on you, which is metabolically healthy, right? That's the sink for glucose, right? That's where your body stores sugar in your liver and in your muscle.
Right.
It should, if everything's working right. If things are not working right, it stores it in your blood, and that's diabetes. Right. Body fat standards and what that typical body fat looks like. Now, women tend to be
higher,
equally lean, physically looking, visually at a higher body fat than men. All right. So meaning it's not equal. A woman at 21 to 24% body fat would have a shape roughly like this sister in the middle. A man at 21 to 24 is not going to look that svelte. Right? A man doesn't start seeing definition very clearly until about 15%. I mean, depending on your muscle development, because I'm like in 16 and change, and, you know, I have some striations and stuff on certain muscles and things like that. In the morning, fasted, you know, you could see vaguely like the outline of my abs at 16%. But a woman starts to see the outline of her abs at 21 to 24.
Wow, yeah.
And then you start to see more of her abs even as high as 20%, right? A man at 20% is not showing definition in his abdominals, right? So I spoke to Joel. I spoke to Deacon Isaac. I said, look, BMI I think is a poor metric. I said, some sisters might have good muscle mass. I said, I think we need to switch to body fat. We do it for the men. I said, so we're already familiar with how to track it. I said, we have the scales at the school if they don't have them at home. I said, let's look at the healthy body fat ranges, right? And this is just one visual. I don't know if I posted the other one with what the medical one is that it says. If not, I'll post it. I believe. If not, I'll post it. Let me look for it because I think I have the picture of it. I think I saved it. Yep, here it is. Okay. And this is the American Council on Exercise. Let's show these side by side. I'm going to send this to you in the topic content. All right. And I'll show you where we came up with this. Because I think some of these sisters think that we just picking
random numbers.
It's not realistic.
Right.
It's very realistic. It's very realistic. So I advocated for y'all sisters because I said, damn. I said, BMI. I said, there are some sisters that got muscle. I said, let's put it to the test. Body fat percentage. And let's pick the healthy range. Let's pick the healthy range. So this is an ideal body fat percentage chart from the American Council on Exercise, right? And you'll see some variations, but they're in a very tight range, okay? And I'm not saying that to pat myself on the back, sisters. I'm saying that to show you that if for any of you who think it might be unfair, it's not. We actually looked at it from a fair assessment, right? And we picked something that was appropriate, right? Athletic for a man is 16 to 13%. A woman, she can be 14 to 20, and she has an athletic looking physique, right? Fitness for a man is 14 to 17. I fall in fitness, right? I'm not athletic physique. 14 to 17. Women 21 to 24. So you see, that's what I'm saying. Visually, like they can have higher,
right?
And it's because of the way it distributes breast and different things, right? And then the average is 18 to 24 for a man. So the goal we have for you brothers right now is an entry goal. Let me stop and talk about the brothers. 26.
26, that's right.
I advocated for the men too because Captain Shem wanted it at 23. And I said, if you do 23, we won't have no men in the streets.
Right.
I said, let's go ahead. Let's bump that a little. And when we get brothers in a good, sustainable range, they're already used to and have good behaviors to change, then we can incrementally bring it down to a healthy range. So, Ben, you bear in mind, it's going to be adjusted for y'all, too.
That's right.
Good
so
stuff.
that we can at least be considered average.
Right.
And in women, average is 25 to 31. Obese is 32 plus. Men is 25. So let's look at the women's side solely. Sisters, you know, because it's been brought out to you in the program, that we're not even asking for you to be fit. We're asking you to just not be obese.
Dang.
And you guys did your measurements, Lord's will, this past Sabbath. And if you can look at this and still say to yourself that you're okay and you're above, we cut it at 30. But if you want to say 31, and if you're above 30% body fat, you're not healthy.
Right.
You're obese. That's not my opinion. That's the standard, right? That's the standard. I thought I had put another one, but maybe I'm going to show it in my slides. Drop that. Go back to the picture. Go back to the picture. So all we're asking for is for you to be what they actually consider slightly overweight.
Right.
Now, this picture says slightly overweight, but it's considered average. as far as the health profile, right? Because I said, look, I think it's unrealistic to get a lot of these women to 21 to 24%, the vast majority. I said it's not going to happen. I said that has to be something
more
extreme
right.
for that to happen. I said, let's keep it here. So, if you are in the obese range, you're not going to tell me that the doctor's okay with you, unless your doctor's fat too. Right?
Yeah,
okay.
He might tell you.
Let me get a BMI calculator. Just look up any BMI calculator. All right, let me get BMI calculator.
She said not the Taco Bell.
Yeah, okay, let's do that. That's fine. Okay, let me go with the average. This is just a rough average for me.
Right.
5'5". Nope, I said sisters on average were 5'5". Put 200 pounds. Compute the BMI. 33.3. Obesity. Obesity. No doctor is going to tell you that that's okay and that that's healthy.
At all.
And that's going by BMI. Right? Body fat gives you the bigger picture, right? Mm-hmm. And I went with the average. Because the average I've seen is at least 160 plus and anywhere from 5 feet to 5'8" is what I've seen statistic-wise, right?
Say 160?
At the low end. At the low end. But at that height and at that body fat and without the body fat measurement, it's not good. It's not good. So put 160 and see how it changes the BMI. Okay, now it just puts you into overweight, right? So where's the delusion in your sister's mind? Get me the video, that's the Facebook one that I sent, that Tobias had put. I'm going to tell you, because this is what's wrong with sisters. This is what's wrong with sisters.
There it is. Yeah, that
yep,
one right there.
Play it. Play it.
In 80 to 90% of the relationships, black women are leaving. You're leaving. You're home wrecking. You're breaking up the relationships. Men stay.
Why do you think women are leaving?
Because you've been sold a Disney fantasy that you should be happy, instead of understanding that you have duty, honor, respect, and you chose to be in a relationship, especially when you decided to make a baby with somebody. You need to stay for more than just yourself. French toast your happiness.
So I should settle?
No, you should. Are you a Christian?
I'm not.
Have you been married?
No, I haven't.
You plan on getting married?
I would like to.
What vows do you plan on taking?
I don't want to settle for nothing less.
What vows do you plan on taking?
I plan on...
For better, for worse, sickness and health, the rich and poor, till death do us part. Then he says shit about happiness.
So I'm supposed to be miserable?
No, you're supposed to be an adult.
Damn! Woo!
Praise him, I see that thing.
And I've said this on the show, and my wife included was vexed at me for like 2 weeks. Women have been sold a fantasy that marriage is the romantic comedy, romantic movie, right? I'm not saying that it's miserable. What he's saying is that if your foundation and you understand your role based on honor, duty, and respect, then the happiness comes
from doing that.
That goes back to what you said earlier. Men are principled. Because he said it's not...
Let me give you another example for you. I'm gonna let you don't you sound like you're gonna say something good. If I tell you that to move forward in a car, you have to hit the accelerator, which is on the right.
Right.
You have to put the car into drive and hit the accelerator. And you say, no, it makes me happy to hit the freaking brake. And then you get mad that all your friends are married and having kids and happy. Everybody around you has moved forward. And you're in the same spot with the car not moving.
Right.
Whose freaking fault is that? All you had to do was hit the accelerator. But you said, it makes me happy to hit the freaking brake. So I'm going to pump the brake the whole time and not move anywhere.
Crazy word.
Go back. Play it one more time. Play it one more time.
In 80 to 90% of the relationships, black women are leaving. You're leaving. You're home wrecking. You're breaking up the relationships. Men stay.
Stop. Say your point now, because that goes with what he said.
Yeah, so you mentioned earlier, men are principled. Our foundation, like that's what drives us, our intent, everything behind what we do. A lot of it's principle, and especially a man of God that his foundation's on the Bible.
Yes,
that's why he said 80 to 90% of the time it's the women leaving because they're naturally inclined to be unprincipled. That's not what their intent is.
No, they're delusional. Remember, I did the delusion calculator about what women want, and what percentage of men need that, right? I did the delusion calculator.
That thing was fire.
What women want and where the percentage was of what they're looking for.
Ain't that when the lights cut off?
Right, that's when the lights cut off.
We didn't even get to finish that giant. Well, I think we next week.
Play.
You think women are leaving?
Because you've been sold a Disney fantasy that you should be happy instead of understanding that you have duty, honor, respect, and you chose to be in a relationship, especially when you decided to make a baby with somebody. You need to stay.
So stop. The word that I hear nowadays is women have a right to enact their agency. We have our agency, meaning they have the will and ability to make the decisions that they want to make despite what others might think is proper or not. Right?
But niggas, I mean nigga people.
That's some.
You exercised your agency.
Right.
And you said, this man is good enough to F me, but not good enough for me to be married and stay with him. He's good enough to drop a baby in me, but not good enough for me to be married and stay with him.
Crazy word.
Delusional. He says it's honor, duty, and respect. Y'all, I'm not saying you cannot have a beautiful, blissfully happy marriage, sisters. But to be a wife, the foundation of that is honor, duty, and respect.
That's right.
It's honor, duty, and respect. Can we get that? Is in Peter's?
Yes, sir.
Get that in Peter's?
Indeed, those attributes in a woman will bring out that feminine, the softer nature you were talking about earlier.
Yes.
If she shows the respect.
If you have a problem with femininity,
right,
work on your submission.
That's it.
Submit to the masculine. Submit to the man. Stop trying to be masculine. Man, I know one officer, his wife freaking grabbed her crotch talking about like like her balls or something like that.
Yeah. Crazy.
Said, damn.
Stop it.
She meant that your balls are there.
Right. Dang.
And he act like he fixed it. He ain't fix it. Go ahead, read this.
The book of 1 Peter, chapter 2 and verse 17. Honor all men. Love the brotherhood. Fear God. Honor the king.
No, that wasn't it. I think it was 1 Peter 3.
And verse
7?
1. 7?
7. That's it. That's
the book of 1 Peter, chapter 3 and verse 7.
Hey, you usually Professor X with me. You're not Professor X in today, bro. It's the sweater.
That's all right, bro.
Go ahead.
The book of 1 Peter, chapter 3, verse 7. Likewise, ye husbands, dwell with them according to knowledge.
Right, and the knowledge is that the men are going to apply what the scriptures say as far as dealing with these women. Right, go ahead, come on.
Giving honor unto the wife, as unto the weaker vessel, and as being heirs together of the grace of life, that your prayers be not hindered.
Come on.
Finally,
start further up.
Verse 6. Even as Sarah obeyed Abraham.
Honor, duty, and respect.
That's
honor, duty, and respect. Oh, what happened? Everything went out. Was it you?
Yeah, I hit something. There was something plugged in.
Goodness. Are we back?
We're back.
No, y'all were never out.
We weren't out. It was just our sound.
Our sound.
No, y'all didn't go out.
No, it was out. We couldn't hear.
Oh no,
it was probably just that little headphone monitor by y'all, but y'all good.
All right.
Damn,
bro, what's wrong with you today, Tobias?
My bad. I dropped the ball.
Dropped the egg. You
broke
the
egg.
I broke the egg.
Broke the egg. Read this verse again. Come on.
The book of 1 Peter, chapter 3 and verse 6. Even as Sarah obeyed Abraham, calling him Lord, whose daughters ye are, as long as ye do well.
Let me tell you what she understood by saying this. She says, you're her daughters as long as you do well. We're dealing with that honor, duty, respect, right? And all of this is intertwined. Y'all got to really examine yourselves if y'all gonna be fit brides after this program. Because remember, this is what it was supposed to teach you. Go ahead, come on.
And are not afraid with any amazement.
Right, you're not afraid with any amazement because you're confident. You're confident that you're going to find happiness in your marriage when you start doing those things. Your problem is that you're sold the delusion. You're sold the fairy tale, the Disney fantasy, and you don't know how to move. She says even the reason he emphasized this is because it emphasizes what we read in 1 Corinthians 11:3. Let's get that real quick. This is honor, duty, respect, right? And I know you sisters know these verses, but you don't know how to apply these verses. And that's what the goal of that program is. And when you can't, let me tell you something. The biggest issue you sisters have is that you bought into the lie that loving yourself meant letting yourself be run through, letting yourself screw whoever you wanted to screw, giving up the only virtue that you had in your purity, because a woman's value is based on her maintaining her purity.
That's right.
A woman is born with all her value. Listen to me again.
That's heavy.
A woman is born with all her value. You women from the womb are born with all the value that you have.
That's right.
All you need to do is maintain it.
That's it.
All you need to do is maintain it. A man's value, he has to struggle fight and work for it.
Teach.
He has to distinguish himself from among, because believe it or not, men, we're not that difficult to please.
Right.
And while we may want the 10, we'll take the 7 that's going to be about honor, duty, and respect.
Right. No headache.
Yes.
Teach. All day.
Yeah.
Right.
Some might even take the 6 or 5 because they know how hard it is to find the honor, duty, and
We in
respect.
Babylon the Great, D.
Right? Some might even take the 6 or 5 because they because they got the honor, duty, and
Based
respect.
off the circumstances.
You wonder why some of these fat sisters that you know what I'm saying? Some of these mumpy they
the
can
bubbly
pull.
ones. The
They
bubbly
can
ones.
pull.
Right.
Yeah, because they're real nice and kind. They have to compensate somehow.
Right.
Compensate.
Yeah, right.
I'm
But
just keeping it real.
But a woman's born with her value, and all she has to do is maintain it.
Yeah.
But you bought the lie, because what comes with the Disneyland fantasy is that you can experiment, you can be out there, you can open, not realizing the spiritual, physical, and mental cost that it was doing to you every time you move and do that way. A man's value, and this is why it says a man is going to be more fine than the precious gold of Ophir, because one day y'all going to realize that, is that a man had to fight and build that. He had to go through things. He has to. Why? Because what we teach, that the men have to be able to support their wives and provide a certain lifestyle and so on and so forth, right? He has to distinguish himself. And then y'all start adding all these other crazy things about it. The minimum height. Right? Some of y'all talking about
shoe size.
Minimum shoe size.
Right.
You know what I mean with that, right? All this other type of extra stuff. And I've said this before. How you know what's a big D?
Right.
If you ain't been around there giving your ass.
Because
guess what? If you maintain your purity, the first D you get is gonna be the big D.
That's it.
Because you ain't never seen one before.
That's it.
That's facts.
So you bought part of the Disneyland fantasy is all this stuff. They're different sizes, they're different shapes. Let me feel this, let me feel that. Let me do this, let me do that. And what it really did was you bargained your soul. You bartered pieces of your soul away. That makes it almost impossible to pick up, right? You went from being something that could have been a prize and a trophy, a price is far above rubies, to being the town bicycle that everybody gets a ride.
Right.
Who wants to marry the town bicycle?
Nobody.
Hey, Deke, I'm sorry. Can I please bring this precept out to touch on what you're saying?
Go ahead. I'm not done with my precepts, but go ahead. You can bring your precept out.
I'm sorry, Deke. Go back to 1 Peter 3:5, and get the word adorn. Get the definition of adorn. All right, because a lot of times sisters just don't trust in God. All right, read that.
The book of 1 Peter, chapter 3 and verse 5. For after this manner, in the old time, the holy women also, who trusted in God.
Trusting in God, and part of that trust, what did they do?
Adorn themselves.
Now get that definition of adorn. Read that.
Adorn. Make more beautiful or attractive.
Well, we're going into the health, the eating right, the programs that are set up so you can get to the point to adorn yourself. Watch, read.
being in subjection unto their own husband.
Being in subjection unto their own husband, that honor, that duty, that respect.
Right.
Because if you can't accept that in a program that the Most High put on the man spirits to create so you could trust in God,
right,
how are you going to respect your husband?
No, they trusted in white Jesus because
At first,
white Jesus said,
they're
you
big
can open
boned.
your legs, you're
Right.
big boned,
Right.
all this other stuff. Now, black Jesus, the real Jesus, the
No,
real
they don't
black
give a
God
shit
of
about
the
him.
Bible.
Right, so tighten up.
Right.
Literally and figuratively.
Right.
They don't give a shit.
Right.
They don't give a crap.
Right.
Listen, women are born on top of the mountain. Men have to climb it.
Mm-hmm.
All you got to do is wait there.
Which is why it was such a big deal in the with the fathers and dealing with the daughters, taking care of them because of that.
Yep.
The
Go ahead.
value.
And I was going to point that out too, because you said they start with their value, right? It says in Sirach that they abuse themselves through overmuch liberty.
Right.
Liberty in eating, liberty, we talking about sex, liberty in fine. There's many ways that liberty manifests, but overmuch liberty,
Keep a sure watch.
you're abusing
Right.
yourself.
Right. Hey, and let me tell you something. In the world, some of you, let's not even get into the body count and all this other stuff, right?
Right.
I've gone over that on the show. Some of y'all get all uppity about that, right? And I've gone over why it matters, right? I kind of just did now. You're in an environment. I'm just gonna say it for what it is. I was trying to think of a way to kind of be diplomatic about what I'm about to say. I believe. I'll say it this way. I believe all our sisters that are at least in this fight, sincerely in this fight,
Right.
working on themselves sincerely, supporting the mission, supporting the men in this, that gives you a measure of pricelessness.
Right.
Should you maintain it? Should you maintain it? But with that being said, if without this Bible and with the way some of y'all past history was, you're getting more than what you deserve when you marry a man that's in this walk. You understand what I just said?
Can you say that again? I need to make sure that.
That was deep.
Some of y'all with your past,
right,
and with the way y'all lived your lives, and buying into the Disneyland fantasy and buying into that lie, all right? And mind you, I prefaced it talking about how valuable I believe you, and I mean this sincerely, how valuable I believe you sisters are that are in here trying to sincerely make that change in your life.
Right.
When you marry a man that's in this walk, that's fighting in this walk day to day, you're getting more than what you probably deserve.
Hit the bomb!
Looking at it from a worldly perspective, what you ever would have got in the world with your history,
right,
would not have been to what you wind up getting here.
That's right.
And if that's not enough for you to move your spirit to be a fit bride and a not rebellious daughter after we put you through a program like this, then I don't know what is.
That's heavy.
All right, then I don't know what is.
For real.
That's right. Imperious.
That's that gratitude.
Let's go back. 1 Peter 3, read 6 again.
The book of 1 Peter, chapter 3 and verse 6. Even as Sarah obeyed Abraham, calling him Lord, whose daughters ye are.
Right, and we just went over 5 where he explains what's so important about that. That's the honor, duty, and respect. Go ahead, come on.
As long as ye do well and are not afraid with any amazement. Likewise.
Right, so he says, as long as ye do well, as long as you maintain that, are not afraid with any. Why is that so important? Let's get 1 Corinthians 11 and 3.
The book of 1 Corinthians, chapter 11 and verse 3. But I would have you know that the head of every man is Christ, and the head of the woman is the man, and the head of Christ is God.
Right. If Sarah understood that divine order, if you understand that divine order, then you're a daughter of Sarah. And to understand it is to know that there's a head and that's your glory is in that man. And you move in that spirit of obedience, and that goes into that honor and that duty. The honor that you give to what God said is the order, and the duty in following that order. And now let me give you the respect. Let me get that in Ephesians 5.
Yes,
about
sir.
see that you reverence your husband. Start at 26, I think.
The book of Ephesians, chapter 5 and verse 26. That he might sanctify and cleanse it with the washing of water by the word.
Come on.
That he might present it to himself.
Start up.
Yes, sir. The book of verse 22. Wives, submit yourselves unto your own husbands.
Right, all throughout the scripture you read this. Last time I went over that 1 Peter about submission, there was some Christian coon that came and did some comments talking about that's not what it's talking about and this, that, and the other.
Right.
He another one that just
Simp.
he just
Oh,
that's a
weak
sin.
ass. Yeah.
That's the one that leads away silly women.
Laden with sin.
Laden with sin.
Yep.
Because he just want to get into pants, right?
That's it.
Go ahead, read that.
Wives, submit yourselves unto your own
Here
husbands
comes the respect. We went over honor. We went over duty. Here comes the respect. Go ahead, come on.
as unto the Lord.
As unto the Lord. As unto the Lord. The other issue with y'all having bought into that Disneyland fantasy and bartering away the value that you had, which is really pieces of your soul. If you accept the mediocrity and the lies regarding your physical health,
Right.
you don't love yourself. Because if you don't love yourself enough to take care of yourself, I just showed you some statistics. I showed you some numbers. I'm going to show you some more, all right, of what's considered healthy, what's considered obese, regardless of what you think as far as your appearance is concerned. If you don't love yourself enough to make that change and maintain it, how are you ever going to be fit to love your husband to the point where you need to respect them like you would respect God?
Right.
That's right.
That's heavy.
Loving yourself begins with doing right for yourself. And that's why I'm going to go all the way back to the beginning. I spoke with Titus 2. See, a lot of times people are like, oh, yeah, I know that scripture. Yeah, I know that verse.
Mm-hmm.
There's so much nuance. There's so much in between the words with what's being said there. And that in order for it to not sound like a manual or a recipe book with pages on end, what we got was a summation and then teachers to bring that to life for you. So when you read that Titus 2, that, you know, I kind of try to go into it a little bit where there's some context that's lacking. It's kind of like when I give the example of I hate when people say my Avenger was born.
Right.
You're not born an Avenger. I just told you that man has to work for his value.
Right.
When you read the rest of those verses in that scripture, it says when the Father has done this, disciplined him this way, not conquered him, not done this, then he's left for him behind an avenger like
That's
unto
right.
himself.
Right. Judas Maccabeus didn't become an avenger until after Mattathias died, and it was his time to actually show forth all of what his father taught.
Right.
That's all. Right.
So what's there is that there's this program and there's these steps that have to come behind it. Don't just think that because we give you some seal of approval out of a program that you're a fit bride. Especially if you forget these honor, duty, respect. Hold on, Benson. Let me finish this. Go ahead.
Verse 23, for the husband is the head of the wife, even as Christ is the head of the church.
Right, so he's explaining the order. Go ahead, come on.
And he is the savior of the body.
Right, and if you can't get that right, then you don't understand. Go ahead, come on.
Therefore, as the church is subject unto Christ, so let the wives be to their own husbands.
Right, I'm telling you, I cannot stress this enough. Y'all don't get this. This is why you still come out with, because that you don't keep under your body. You don't. How can you tell me that if you can't discipline yourself to love yourself? We're not even asking you to be fit and athletic.
Right.
It's unrealistic, the goals. No, it's actually still average. We're telling you just be average.
Right.
We're telling you to be average, sisters. For your honorable husband, future husbands. Because some of y'all were married in the program, and you might think this don't pertain to you either.
Right.
It's supposed to make you better in that marriage. Go ahead, come on.
So let the wives be to their own husbands in everything.
In everything, in everything, in everything. And some of you want to tell you the lie, your husband likes you fat. He just afraid he eat the Twix when you ask him how you look.
How do I look today?
Oh, shit. I'm going to tell you something. Even if he is okay with the way you are, I guarantee you he would.
Just imagine.
If that be the case, right? If that be the case, devil's advocate.
Let's say he's lost a little pep in his step. What time is it? All right, we in the late hour.
Right.
Let's say he's lost a little rigidity in the ride. You drop some down into that body fat range and start showing a little more of that shape. And you're going to see how happy he is. You think he's going to be like, ew.
Right.
You're too sexy now.
Right. Crazy.
You know
work.
what?
Keep it
There
real,
are
man.
some husbands that
Keep it real.
that freaking want their women in sackcloth and no makeup.
That's
Right.
because
But
they're
wait. And then they cheat on her with a sister that's wearing makeup.
Right. This is real story. Real story.
Right.
Crazy.
I'm talking about, and it's more than once that I've seen it.
Right.
No, I don't want my wife to wear this and look nice, and I don't want her to look like this. And then they wind up committing fornication with a sister that look exactly like they didn't want their wife to look like.
Crazy.
But anyway, I digress. Keep reading.
Verse 25, husbands, love your wives, even as Christ also loved the church and gave himself for it.
Read.
That he might
jump to the point where it says, wives, see that you reverence your husband. That's the point that I want with the respect.
Verse 33, nevertheless, let every one of you in particular so love his wife, even as himself, and the wife see that she reverence her husband.
And that's the respect. Honor, duty, respect. It says, at the end of all that, he says what this really boils down to. So you're going to find your happiness in that. Now, play Kevin from the beginning now that we've brought that understanding out. Go ahead, come on.
80 to 90% of the relationships, black women are leaving. You're leaving. You're home wrecking. You're breaking up the relationships. Men stay.
Why do you think women are leaving?
Because you've been sold a Disney fantasy that you should be happy instead of understanding that you have duty, honor, respect, and you chose to be in a relationship, especially when you decided to make a baby with somebody. You need to stay for more than just yourself. French toast your happiness.
So I should settle.
No, you should. Are you a
You hear
Christian?
that? You hear that?
Right. Right.
So I should settle. So I should settle. You settle
the
when
hell
you
you-
open your legs
Right.
and let him drop his nut in you. Let him drop his seed in you.
Right.
To have a baby with him. Go ahead, come on.
I'm not.
Have you been married?
No, I haven't.
You plan on getting married?
I would like to.
What vows do you plan on taking?
And that's
I
what
don't wanna-
stop. That's where the honor and the duty comes from. There's vows that you take.
Marriage is honorable.
Yes.
Right.
Go ahead, come on.
Settle for nothing less.
What vows do you plan on taking?
I plan on.
For better, for worse, sickness and health, the rich or poor, till death do us part. Then he says shit about happiness.
So I'm supposed to be miserable.
No, you're supposed to be an adult.
That's it. That's it.
Grow up.
And what he means is to grow up into that full and measure of stature of Christ.
Right.
That's what that's going into. You're supposed to be an adult, meaning that you understand that you'll find happiness in applying what the way marriage is supposed to be.
That's it.
You find the happiness when you move in that, right? And for a little levity's sake, we're going to deal with this torta testimony in a moment.
Definitely.
But I want you to start with you're going to go from right to left on my slides. So, yes, you're going to start there. That's 1, and then 2 is the next one, 3 and 4. All right? Go ahead. Say what you're going to say.
Deacon, before you move on with this, I want to preface this. Give me Ezekiel 18. I mean, I'm sorry, not 18, 16 and verse 30. Not preface
Hold
it.
on, because I might have it.
Oh, you might have this one too?
I still
damn,
have-
we cooking then. We cooking.
No, these have been off the dome scriptures. I haven't even gone into my notes.
Got you.
I haven't even gone into my notes. Wait, hold on. Maybe I think
Then
I
he might
have
have this one.
That sounds familiar. Let me see.
Plus,
You got a
plus,
lot in
plus,
there. You got a whole
plus.
bunch.
Yes, I do have a bunch.
Cooking.
No, I'll probably get the scriptures out quick when I just go through
about
example
to go
phase.
down.
I'll just go through example phase. Let's just make sure
Grand
that you
finale.
don't.
Right.
Yeah, because this one in particular,
This is one of your
I think
favorite
about this is one of my
scripts.
favorites in regards to these women.
Right.
Yes. Oh, yes.
And when you pointed this out to me,
Because you said it
hit
and it made me
different.
think that I was going to
Yeah,
go into it.
it says imperious
Yep,
in it.
I am. Which verse are you going to go to, though?
Just 30.
No, you could go into that one. Then.
All
That's not
right,
the
all
verse
right.
that I
You got to
got.
get the
Oh, is that the one you got?
definition. You got to get the
Yeah, I
definition.
definitely got to get the definition. Read that first and get the definition of imperious.
Oh, yes, it says.
IMPERIOUS.
I've used this when we talk about Northern Kingdom and Hosea.
Yes. But that word right there is very powerful. Let's read the scripture first.
The book of Ezekiel, chapter 16 and verse 30.
Now let's remember what Kevin Samuel says, and let's remember the answer or the response from that black woman, right? I say black woman because she's acting like a black woman, right? Northern Kingdom too, but I'm saying the way that we think today, Babylon has destroyed us. Watch what the Bible says. Read that.
How weak is thine heart?
Come on.
Saith the Lord God.
Now he's talking to Israel. He's making a reference, but watch this. Come on.
Seeing thou doest all these things.
All these evil things. When you read up, he's going into fornication, idolatry, all these evil things. Watch what he says.
The word.
The what?
The word.
The action
Of an imperious.
Go ahead.
Whorish woman.
Now, mind you, imperious and whorish are in the same line, meaning these two are connected, just like the mind and the body are connected, right? Mind you, the mind and the body. So even in a negative connotation, imperious, which is these definitions we're about to read, are connected to the way that she uses her body. Let's read imperious.
Imperious.
Come on.
Assuming power.
This is a woman that assumes power. So the hell with value and all that. She deems herself at whatever value she thinks she is. She don't go based off what the scriptures say. She don't go based off what the general public says.
Obedience, what?
Right. What the hell is obedience, right? Watch this. Go ahead.
Assuming power. Or authority.
Watch this. Come on now.
Without justification.
They have no justification for their power and authority. The way that they think has no justification. There's no substance behind that. Come on.
Arrogant.
I like that word, arrogant.
Domineering.
And she's domineering. Think about what the conversation between Kevin Samuels and the woman. She said, how am I going to do this? How am I going to do that? You're telling me to settle?
Yeah.
All that crap. That's an arrogant and domineering mind. Read some of the synonyms. Synonyms.
You want some cinnamon?
I could do it because I'm not at a terrible body fat. Come on, read some of those.
Peremptory. High-handed.
High-handed.
Commanding.
Some of you women are very commanding. Go ahead.
Imperial.
Now, mind you, this is all contrary to what the scriptures say about submission and all the other things we just read. Come on.
Right. Domineering.
Yes.
Authoritarian.
Authoritarian. Shouldn't you be submissive to your husband? Come on.
Dictatorial.
You are a dictator in your house, and some of you men don't give a damn. You don't fix your wife. Come on.
Authoritative.
Look at the next one.
Lordly.
You lordly ass sister. Read the bottom one. That's what they call some of the black women.
Hey, notice
Bossy.
what's heavy about that when it says lordly. Remember, it said, even as Sarah brought Abraham, calling him Lord.
Right. Acknowledging that headship.
She wasn't trying to be lordly. She acknowledged what was there. I'm supposed to be unhappy? No, you're supposed to be an adult. Because an adult will realize that you this fairy tale, this freaking Barbie, 50 First Dates, romantic comedy BS. And trust me, I'm not saying that negative. You can have a beautiful, happy marriage. God wants it to be that. Excuse me. But remember, he says, live joyfully with your wife, be
right.
With her paps and all of that stuff like that. But it has to be
in order
by his divine order.
Right.
It has to be set up that way, right? And then what happens is the town bicycle sisters is hard for them. Promiscuous women, they've. The real issue is because women haven't maintained their value. The submission goes away because they gave that away to the first guy they laid down with.
Yep, and it's forever there.
That's spiritual right there.
Because when a man takes a woman's virginity, there's a transference of authority that happens there.
He humbles her.
That's it.
Yes. And since you can only be humbled once. I'm sorry, sisters, those of you who are not virgins. All right. They love that joint, boy. They love that. They love that freaking song. Listen, you gave it away to the guy you first laid down with. So the opportunity for the humility becomes that much more difficult. So when you're so cavalier with a program like this, and with yourself and your behavior, just give me my rod. Basically, I'm ready now. Give me my rod. You're not realizing the upward climb that you have to have that spirit of humility again behind that.
That's heavy.
You were already humbled, and some of you have done multiple times, and this is why the body count matters. Right? In short,
they get numb
it matters because it's gonna let me know how much of an issue I'm going to have trying to be your Lord.
That's a lot of spirits.
Oh, yes, it's late night. Right. And Louvain, this is even before you get to the men's spirit. What I'm saying is that they've given up the humility. They've given up that all comes with it, with the spirits of those men. Before you even get to the spirits of those men, what winds up happening is that was only supposed to be given to one man.
Right. It's a gift.
So it's so much harder for you to be in that type of thing. And this is why you cannot take it so lightly. You cannot take it so lightly, right? Go ahead, Benson. Oh, I forgot you from last time too, right? Go ahead.
And I was just gonna say too, sisters and brothers gotta take this 300 program and the Ladies in Waiting seriously, because there are generations that are coming up, and foundations are being laid to redeem the time, as the scriptures say, so we can get back to how we once were. So you brothers and sisters that are being lazy in these programs, you're doing yourself a disservice and you're doing the nation a disservice.
Yes.
Heavy.
Hey, so let me get my obesity slide. Let's put this up. And I started thinking, and I said, obesity is a new thing. I said, obesity is a new thing. I'm going to run you through some stuff, right? Obesity is a widespread issue, and it's a modern phenomenon, right? In ancient and biblical times, right, lifestyles were different.
Right.
They were physically demanding. Remember, I spoke about the lively sisters, and I went over that lively part. And a lot of times, sisters kind of show us. Remember, I tell you, like, sisters now, they get pregnant, and they're like, it's not a sickness, right? Being pregnant is not a sickness, sisters.
Right.
And, you're a man, so you can't just... You guys were actually made to withstand more pain than us.
Right.
Right? You know how you have the joke, like, we have a cold, and it's like,
the end of the world.
It's the end of the world, right? That's by design, right? The secret's out. We know that you were biologically built
to endure that pain.
That's
your judgment.
That's why I'm taking nothing away from y'all.
Right.
We're pushing that baby out and dealing with the pregnancy.
Because we got to labor. We got to labor. Our judgment's there.
But remember, you were beautifully and wonderfully made.
Right.
To do just that.
That's right.
To do just that. So don't act like you're crippled, all right? And I'm talking about severe. I know some people like,
outliers.
Like the baby gonna fall out if you don't lay down, that sort of thing or whatever, right? Like there's different things that happen, right? But we spoke about lively, and I said, you got to think about it, man. These sisters had a different lifestyle, right? I have this obesity slide up, and then I'm going to go over some points, some key points about obesity being a modern phenomenon, right? Obese, BMI 30 plus. So sisters, despite what you might think, if your BMI is 30 or plus, you're obese, right? Body fat wise, if you're 32% or above, you're obese, all right? Global obesity, over 1 billion people worldwide. The United States, almost half the population of adults are obese. I'm trying to show you how American you really are when you hold on to that thing. I'm just thick, I'm big-boned, right?
Yeah, that's that boo.
I'm muscular. I've said it before. Fat at room temperature is a solid.
Damn.
If there's any jiggle, it's not muscle.
Bruh.
All right?
Bruh.
That's funny.
Any jiggle,
That's
it's
so
not
funny.
muscle.
They say wobble, baby.
Next
wobble.
slide. Next slide. In 2016, an estimated 650 million adults worldwide were obese, and now it's close to 1 billion, right? Now it's close to 1 billion. Go ahead, keep going. Next one. So you have different countries, right? Top 10 countries. United States is 4th in the world. Damn. As far as obesity rates.
That's
right?
wild.
I'm showing you how American you are, right? I'm showing you how American you are. Yeah, and they say a lot of those islands are like that because of the way they get their food supplies. And they have to get it based on the colonizing effect. So there's a lot of that goes into it, right? So drop this. Let me bring some points out with the obesity being a new thing. And the reason I'm going over that is because there seems to be this acceptance of the thickness. Right? Of the thickness. Food scarcity and manual labor dominated life back then, right? So ancient lifestyles were highly active. You walked all the time, right? Farming, grinding grain, drawing water. Everything was done with your hands, right? There were no computers. There were no automobiles. Even riding a horse gets the heart rate going and stuff like that, right?
That thing works well.
Guess what? Food was not hyper palatable, right? Meaning it was harder to ultra eat. Here's the issue with processed food overall. Yes, there are some dyes and some things in there that can be problematic. The real issue is that your body's natural satiety signals and the hormone balance between your ghrelin, your leptin, all the different things that go on gets disrupted with processed foods. What it is it's very difficult for somebody to be disciplined when you're eating a processed meal. Because it's designed by food chemists to make you want to keep eating it.
Right.
Literally.
This is why you can't put down the Lays. This is why you do a line of Oreos. This is why you can overeat these type of things. It's not as much the ingredients that are in them because, right, you got this new health secretary, the Kennedy guy, Robert Kennedy, I think it is, Jr., and his focus, I've not heard him talk about anything about moderate eating, calories. He's just like, if we just get rid of the processed foods, that'll solve the problem. Well, no, because there's so much nuance to the processed stuff. I don't have time to talk about it today, but the reality is what does the processed food do? It just makes you overeat it. That's the type of stuff that you can eat more and more and more and more. I can be not really hungry and taste something that's processed or hyper palatable and wind up overeating it.
Right.
Like all of a sudden I was like, damn, I wasn't hungry at all. I wasn't craving nothing at all. And I broke it because, right.
It tastes so good.
It just, right. And it does something, right? The cheese puffs, right? Or the Oreos, right? There were periods of feast and famine often during biblical times.
Right.
It was common. So it prevented naturally overconsumption. Now there's an abundance of food.
Right.
So you have it everywhere. You don't have to really fight for it. You go to a supermarket, a drive-through.
It's already done cut up.
A vending machine.
Right.
It's cut up, ready to eat.
Vittles sold cheap.
Right. Vittles so cheap, right? So what winds up happening, it's all right. You don't have to put it up. We don't have time for all of that stuff. I appreciate y'all. Right? You wind up overdoing it, right? There was no processed or engineered foods back then. So there was no refined sugar. So in order to get sugar, you had to get it from the fruit, right? Or things like honey. This is why you read honey a lot. But honey's sugar, right? The problem with refined sugar is that, again, it's just easily available and you get a quick hit. There's no other process that goes behind it.
Right.
A lot of people like to demonize sugar for the sake of it being sugar. It's not that simplistic. It's not that the sugar is just the baddest thing in the world. Right. Everything turns into sugar. Your body runs on sugar. But what happens is when you put it in a pure sugar form, there's no metabolic process really happening. Sugar dissolves on your tongue.
Right.
Because digestion starts in the mouth. That's nutrition 101, right? You start releasing amylase in the mouth, the saliva. It starts to break down carbohydrate, which is glucose, right? And if you get that in the pure sugar form, all the metabolic processes that kick up your metabolic furnace don't happen, right? So it's not so much sugar by itself, okay? It's just that piece, right? Somebody said about other aspects. I think we did. We spent like a whole hour not talking about weight and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
I think we were talking about
obedience.
Right, obedience,
Yeah,
the mind.
right.
It's
And
all
everything
connected
else,
anyway.
right?
Yeah, all connected.
But I'm going back to the physical application here because this is the biggest complaint that I've heard, right? And what it tells me is that everybody else is done, right? Now, I don't have the whole curriculum in front of me, so maybe there's some other pieces that you wanted me to discuss. But I think I, by and large, went heavy onto that other aspects of it, right? Let me get Proverbs 23 and 20. Let me show you something. Cultural and scriptural norms rewarded temperance back then, right? Gluttony was viewed as sinful behavior, and this kind of overlaps into these other aspects of it. The reason I'm harping on this is so much because some sisters might be like, well, I'm not fat, I'm not this, I'm not that. I'm just trying to tell y'all that all of it goes back to that application. And that's why I showed the Kevin Samuels piece about that honor, duty, respect. That's what really goes into it, right? Like kind of moving in that direction. Because there's a tie-in that I want to make to this gluttony. It goes back to all the way in the beginning. Remember I said it talks about sober-minded and it talks about not giving too much wine. And I told you that does not just mean drinking. It goes into giving yourself into your appetites. And there's a lack of disciplined behavior and rigidity that comes behind that. That's not being followed, right? That's not being followed. Go ahead, read this. Proverbs 23 and 20.
The book of Proverbs, chapter 23, verse 20. Be not among wine bibbers.
Read.
Among riotous eaters of flesh.
That's the gluttonous part. So remember, we talk about the sobriety with wine.
Right.
It says, be not among wine bibbers, nor among riotous eaters of flesh. Go ahead, read.
For the drunkard and the glutton shall come to poverty.
Right, shall come to poverty, right? Righteous people back then were often described as disciplined and modest in all behaviors.
Right.
In all behaviors, including eating and consumption. So there's an overlap that goes with this type of stuff, right? It says, okay, read 21 again.
For the drunkard and the glutton shall come to poverty.
Right, you're going to come to poverty, right? In spirit and in everything else. Go ahead, come on.
And drowsiness shall clothe a man with rags.
Right, because you're going to wind up, drowsiness mean what? You're not being disciplined enough to build yourself up and things. Is that it on those verses?
That's it.
Okay, so obesity also was historically seen as a sign of moral weakness.
That's right. That's right.
This is why we're harping on this so much, right? In many ancient books, not just dealing with the scriptures, overweight or excessively fat body was linked to indulgence, idolatry, or corruption. Remember how we showed the videos that say don't trust a fat pastor or none of that stuff like that, right?
Yep.
And remember, overindulgence doesn't necessarily have to manifest itself in overweight either. Right? Some people might be slim as hell and they got a heavy drinking problem. Some of y'all got some sort of lewd spirits and things on you, right? It needs to be looked at from this perspective and, right, what it travels into. Let me get 1 Samuel 4 and 18, all right? About Eli.
The book of 1 Samuel, chapter 4 and verse 18. And it came to pass, when he made mention of the ark of God, that he fell from off the seat backward by the side of the gate, and his neck brake, and he died, for he was an old man, and heavy.
And overweight, all right? It was directly linked to how he freaking broke his neck, all right?
That's important
My
to
back
mention.
is spinal, right? He was heavy. Is that it?
And he had judged Israel 40 years.
Right, and he had judged Israel 40 years. All these things are set up this way. The other thing you have to realize that although now, like in movies now, they'll show you like a fat king.
Right.
But really, historically, even royalty and the wealthy were rarely obese because it said even though kings and nobles had more access to food, right, they still had servants, warfare, and activity that they had to do. So they moved more, right? Ancient societies didn't have technology or food storage to make constant overeating sustainable. Right. The fridge was a great thing. It's also the bane of a lot of people.
That's true.
Because they're moving and they're dealing with that sort of stuff, right? Let me get, I'm going to show you the correlation between gluttony, lust, and appetite. Ezekiel 16:49. Ezekiel 16:49. I'm going to hit you with a bunch of scriptures as we move. You know, maybe we'll show some other stuff. Brothers might want to bring some stuff in. I do want to show the thing about the PCOS with metabolism. There's some videos that I posted, but I want to get through some of these verses that I have written down first, all right? We still got some time. We're only about 20 minutes over from when we started, so, right? Yeah, that's modern, though. That's the modern Prince of India is fat as hell. Back then, you can't really automatically say because they were wealthy, they were like that. The point that I'm trying to make is that there's an acceptance of certain behaviors, and that's part of the Disneyland fantasy that you sold, right? And it's not right. It's not just. Right? Let me get Ezekiel 16:49.
The book of Ezekiel, chapter 16 and verse 49. Behold, this was the iniquity of thy sister Sodom. Pride. Fullness of bread.
Fullness of bread is going into what? It's going into that gluttony, that overeating. Go ahead, come on.
An abundance of idleness.
Lazy ass. Not moving around. So there's a pride spirit. All of these things are interconnected. Go ahead, come on.
Was in her and in her daughters.
Right, and in her daughters. It was in Sodom and in her daughters. That's the Disneyland fantasy. That's the spirit that's behind these sisters till this day. That's why there's something to be said about that.
Right.
Some of y'all take the exercise lightly. Well, I'm happy with the way I look. It's not just about look. There's a spirit that comes with those type of behaviors.
It's a mindset.
I remember I took an online course in college. I'm trying to remember what it was called. But there was one segment where we had to go over why they started to create parks, public parks, in governed societies.
Right.
And you would think it's wild now. The reason they might do it now is different. But the genesis of why they made public facilities and public parks was because they said without those type of outlets for people to come and be outdoors and exercise. I'm not talking about lifting weights or whatever. These were just parks where you could walk around, maybe do some sort of activity out there. They said people would give themselves into their lust and their primal urges if they did not have these outlets. I wrote a whole paper on it for class. This was in the textbooks.
Crazy.
And it said, I just thought of it now. It came into my head as I'm going over these points. And it said that there's something to be said, right? Because some of you, maybe you're not fat, but maybe you just don't do nothing. Maybe all
Right.
you do is stay inside all day, you sit on your ass, right? Or maybe you just go to work and come out. Like there's no other type of thing. Because I've heard people judge people because of how much they exercise.
Right.
And I'm not talking about that there's a vanity spirit. I mean, there's some measure of vanity in all of us, right? But how you gonna blast somebody because they have good workout habits?
Right.
You know, like I've heard stories where people be like, what the hell, why you wake up so early to work out? Or, oh damn, why you working out after work after a long day? Why you? Just go home. Right. Do something else. Do this, that, and the other. Right.
Yep.
Remember, the scripture says, "Of idleness cometh much evil." Right. So what they were saying about making parks and doing all that stuff, right? That actually, like, has some merit
Right.
to what they were saying, right? So we know that laziness, pride, overeating, that was all tied to Sodom's destruction, because what ultimately wound up happening? They were called Sodom because it even led them to homosexuality.
Right. Gave into their lust.
Gave into their lust. There's a
Spiritual
No
component.
restraint at all.
there's a cascading effect that happens. And this is why, when I deal with the program as a whole, the real message that I want to put out deals with the spirit of rebellion on any front of anything that was copied in the program, and the time to actually put the things in play. Because remember, knowledge is just the knowing and it stays here. Wisdom is being able to take that and do something with it.
Application.
Right? The application of it. Let me get Deuteronomy 21 and 20.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 21 and verse 20.
Read out.
And they shall say unto the elders of his city, This our son is stubborn and rebellious.
Right. Let me show you the spirit. Why is he stubborn and rebellious? Come on.
He will not obey our voice.
Read.
He is a glutton and a drunkard.
Right. So this goes into that rebellious daughter spirit and being an unfit bride. Right. There's key little overlaps here, sisters, that I don't want you to miss. You spend all this time and all this effort doing outlines and papers and assignments and everything else. Why? Why did you waste your time? To get a stamp of approval?
Right.
That's it.
The intent is for it to change you. Same thing when you deal with these Titus 2s. What the hell are you doing in these Titus 2s and you're still coming out of them with the same BS?
Right.
It doesn't make sense. Right? They said that what? His gluttony was associated with his rebellion. Right? The opposite of submission and discipline. You don't refrain yourself from your appetites. You give in to your lust on every front. Proverbs 23 and 2.
The book of Proverbs, chapter 23 and verse 2.
Read out.
And put a knife to thy throat, if thou be a man given to appetite.
Right. It says, man, you're better off, right, killing yourself
It's a faster death than the slow death you
than
get
the
from
slow
overeating.
death that you're doing to yourself, right? And it's indulgent eating or being, what it's really saying is that you're being ruled by your appetite. It goes back to what we said in the beginning.
Right.
Are you going to keep under your body?
Right.
Or are you going to let the reverse happen and let the carnal suppress the spiritual?
Can
right?
I read this for you real quick?
Yep, go ahead.
The book of Sirach, chapter 23 and verse 6. Let not the greediness of the belly, nor the lust of the flesh take hold of me, and give not over me thy servant into an impudent mind.
Right, and that's the issue. What winds up happening is that you're moving in an impudent mind. It's the same thing like an imperious movement.
right.
Same thing with that impudence, right? It's a spirit of rebellion. And you're never going to be able, remember, honor, duty, respect. You're never going to be able, until you love yourself enough to apply these things, say that you're ready. You're not a lady in waiting.
That's heavy.
You're not a lady in waiting then. Let me get Sirach 37 and 29.
The book of Sirach, chapter 37 and verse 29.
Read out.
Be not unsatiable in any dainty thing, nor too greedy upon meats, For excess of meats bringeth sickness, and surfeiting will turn into choler.
Again, overeating, right? And he's saying the other things that wind up covering from these things. Go ahead, come on.
By surfeiting have many perished.
Right, so surfeiting, right? It just means like excess, right? Go ahead, come on.
But he that taketh heed prolongeth his life.
Right, he that taketh heed prolongeth his life. If you take heed to these type of things, right? Now,
that goes into calorie count too, Andy.
Let me get let me see if this is the one that I want in Titus 2. Hold on.
And that's heavy, that verse 31 about the prolonged life. You know how they say, I'm willing to die for you?
Right.
And I think it was mentioned before, why not live for them as well?
Right.
Right? Be willing to live for them. Prolong your life.
We did that already.
Yeah,
Let me
heavy.
see. Let me see. Proverbs 31. Let me see if I want to go there. Trying to bring out some stuff, and then we're gonna leave you some other stuff after this. There's certain aspects of Proverbs 31 that I wanted to go into. Well, we mentioned it, but we didn't read it. Let's read it really quick. 31 and 10.
The book of Proverbs, chapter 31 and verse 10. Who can find a virtuous woman? For her price is far above rubies.
Right. So there's so much that goes into that virtuousness, right? That building yourself up in that regard.
Right.
And if you don't recognize it in the small things, sisters, then you just went through a program just to go through the sake of a program, right? It's kind of like I've met people in the body who say they're chefs.
Right.
And what they really mean is they have a certificate from chef school, but they have limited experience being a chef.
Kind of like the doctor that's got a PhD.
That's understanding and lack of wisdom.
Because let me tell you, some of these chefs, like, they don't be chefing. You know what I'm saying? They're like, they don't be chefing. Like,
ranch on
so that's
brisket.
like the understanding aspect, but not the wisdom aspect.
Not the wisdom aspect, right? Because, like, it's Kitchen Nightmares, for example. A lot of them will have certifications as chefs, but they might have went straight to running their own restaurant instead of working their way up. That's why there's a way that you work your way up in that industry. And the chefs at the top typically are very hard on the chefs at the bottom, not to intentionally be assholes, but because they know what it takes to be excellent at that craft. Right?
High expectations.
Yeah. So they're just very direct about how they do it. Likewise, when we go through anything that we're trying to build brothers and sisters up, there needs to be that measure where it's like there's this firmness and rigidity there, because life is harder than any program, or like the real world is so much worse. Right. And even when you get into parenting, some people are they're not really equipping their kids properly for the world.
Right.
And to face the enemy, right? It could go from the extreme of allowing certain behaviors that are negative and errant, or raising them too soft and too dependent on you. And there's a chord that you have to strike, right? In there, in between, right? Jump to verse 17.
Verse 17. She girdeth her loins with strength and strengtheneth her arms.
Wait a second. She strengtheneth her arms.
That's Bible.
Get some barbell curls in there, right?
Muscle up.
He said, not the flabby arm. He said they strengthen the arms, right? Do some tricep presses. Do something in there, right? It says she girdeth her loins, right? So her whole abdominal area, she got a good core going on.
Remember, like you said, they worked, they were lively, they were doing all these things. This was natural for us.
Yes, this is part of being a virtuous, right? Don't be this sister. Oh, this is hilarious, right?
I'm loving it.
Bruh.
Right.
No.
Look at this, right? I'm loving it, right? Don't be that sister, right? And listen, if you feel bad about it, you obviously don't feel bad enough if you haven't done anything to try to move in the other direction.
Right.
Damn, we are falling so
You're
hard,
fat shaming. I just went over the history of fatness, and it didn't exist back then in the way that it does now.
Right. We fell so hard, Deke.
Because we've fallen so hard as a people. It's kind of nuts. It's kind of nuts, right?
Shoot.
Let's get 26.
Verse 26. She openeth her mouth with wisdom, and in her tongue is the law of kindness.
Sisters, there's so much that you have to learn about your speech. There's another aspect of the program. This goes into 1 Peter's also, right? That you can win them over with your chase conversation, right?
That's heavy.
There's so much. It says you got to when you open your mouth, sister, it should never be for foolish words to come out of it. It should always be with wisdom. It should always be with wisdom. Read that verse again, 26.
Verse 26, she openeth her mouth with wisdom, and in her tongue is the law of kindness.
Right, and it's not just wisdom, kindness. Kindness. You hear this, wives?
You need that.
You
We
hear
love
this,
that.
you existing wives?
Right.
Kindness.
We love that,
Kindness
Deke.
in your tongue.
Mm.
I'm telling you, you get so much more with that approach than you ever would with the nastiness that you have. I tell you, these women is damaged, bro. These women is damaged the way they be coming out. Jump 27.
Verse 27, she looketh well to the ways of her household, and eateth not the bread of idleness.
Right, there you go. Sometimes I hear these husbands like, yo, she just laid down all the time.
Slothful.
Netflix.
Don't want to
Slothful.
cook.
Don't want to cook. Nothing's
cleaning.
going on
I
in the
tell her to
house.
exercise. She doesn't.
Nothing's happening here. I'd say let's go for a walk. Let's do this. Nothing going on in that regard, right? Some of y'all there like beached whales laying on the damn couch, all right?
Bro, it's crazy. It's not even funny.
Doing this.
Right.
Let me share that.
They probably don't got no finger Someone swiping.
That's all you freaking do all day. That's
Right.
idleness too.
Swipe.
All right.
Hey.
Some of y'all don't know what the hell to do. The BS that y'all post on social media.
Right, that's facts. Crazy work.
Bruh.
Well, and then it be the ones that have the page with their husband,
Mm.
or it says house of. Embarrassing, boy. I told my wife, I said, you better never put house of. You better never put, and then post some nonsense.
Bruh.
I said, get the hell out of here with that BS.
Right.
Get the hell out. There's too much work that needs to be done. There's too much that needs to be tended to in your home. There's too much that you can do for yourself. You know, back in the days, self-improvement's a business now.
Mm.
That's what life was about back then.
Right.
Because if you didn't self-improve, you died.
There was
Right.
no need for a tutor.
You got killed. You didn't make it in the rough of the environment.
Right.
This was just intrinsic in us.
That's it. They
Now
don't know
you
what,
need
they don't know what
tutors.
intrinsic means.
Oh, it was what's the other word?
It was like nature. It was
It was
natural.
nature. It was natural in us. That's
right.
it.
Right. They don't understand intrinsic. They
Now
think it's too big.
you need tutors and Instagram people you follow and so
right,
forth.
Right. Let's get Sirach 26 and 13.
Oh my God.
The book of Sirach, chapter 26 and verse 13. The grace of a wife delighteth her husband.
Right. Remember I said earlier, women lack etiquette.
Yep.
They don't know how to speak. They don't know how to walk. They don't know. And listen, I'm not saying, there's certain styles that, I'm not saying women should always be like in slippers and stuff. They can wear boots and sneakers and, you hook it up.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a grace that we expect from women,
Mm-hmm.
right? There's some women, man, they just got this masculine spirit. They move with,
That's how they- bruh.
and then that's how
Bring
they
it
talk.
out.
Then there's no wisdom. Then there's no kindness in their tongue.
Or they try to cover it up and then it slips out from
Right,
time to
and then
time
it
and they don't
slips out
even
from
realize
time
it.
to time, right? Oh yeah.
When they get mad, when they get
think
upset.
they're good at it, but then we see it, right? Go
Right.
ahead, read that from the top again.
Verse 13. The grace of a wife delighteth her husband.
Right, the grace of a wife delighteth her husband. Not, it's telling you quite biblically.
Mm-hmm.
This is Bible. What delights your husband? The grace of a wife. Go ahead, come on.
And her discretion will fatten his
Ooh,
bone.
her discretion. You know what? Jump
That
back
goes
to
back to the
Proverbs
kind
31.
words.
Go back to Proverbs 31 real quick. That goes with verse 11 in Proverbs 31. I'm going to show you something.
The book of Proverbs, chapter 31 and verse 11. The heart of her husband doth safely trust in her, so that he shall have no need of spoil.
That goes back to what we just said with the grace of the wife, and her discretion will fatten his bones, right? Meaning his heart trusts in her that he's never going to speak an errant word to him. She's going to do right by him. And even if she's upset, she's always going to have him as the priority.
Right.
And she's going to take into consideration all things. Your happiness, by and large, in the construct of being an adult, like Kevin said,
Right.
in that honor, duty, and respect, is to please your husband. And it may sound, because of the way the world has sold you the Disneyland fantasy,
Right.
that's subservient. It is, because you're supposed to be in subjection.
Right.
It may sound like it marginalizes you. What it does, sisters, is magnify what you were made for.
That's right.
You were made to be a helpmeet for the man, and so that he should not be alone. The Bible says it's not good that he should be alone, right? But it was supposed to be a wife that is full of grace, that is full of kindness,
That's right.
that is full of discretion, right? There's a way that you can deal with your husband that you can get that fantasy. You can get that happiness if you just do what you need to do. If you play your role with sincerity, not to check off a box, because we'll smell the bullshit.
Right.
Bring it out.
You will wind up getting all this happiness and all this stuff.
In abundance.
Yes, in abundance. And it's not to say that it'll always be blissful. We might get away. We might do this, that, and the other. You just keep playing your position. Like I've said this before. Two people are arguing, and the other one's raising, and I stay level. It's magnified how messed up the other person's looking.
I'm out the spirit.
Right.
Yeah.
That's your best weapon, sisters. If I'm being an asshole as a man, you still keep being what you're supposed to be as far as honor, duty, and respect in the scripture. Trust me, I'm going to catch it. I'm going to catch it. Right?
That's right.
Right. I'm going to catch
That's
it.
that First Peter's be right.
Keep reading.
Verse 11.
No, I'm sorry. Back to Sirach 26.
The book of Sirach, chapter 26 and verse 13. The grace of a wife delighteth her husband, and her discretion will fatten his bones. A silent and loving woman is a gift of the Lord. And there is nothing so much worth as a mind well instructed.
Here's the point that I wanted to arrive to. We have put in all this effort because you ask and you ask and you ask, and we've put it in the form of a structured program,
right,
to try to equip you to have a mind that's well instructed,
that a man wants,
to make you desirable to a husband,
right,
and to rebel against any aspect of this program in a non-constructive way, because I'm sure maybe in delivery, maybe there's some things we can add to curriculum, maybe there was some things that might have seemed redundant in curriculum, right? It says there is nothing so much worth as a mind well instructed. And that goes back to the Titus 2 that we've put in place, right? At the direction of the men, we've taken those aged women and we've put them in a position to facilitate this program to you sisters, so that on all accounts you can apply. Why is a mind well instructed worth so much? Because action comes from a mind that's well instructed to put those things into play. First as yourself, because listen, you graduate from this program, you might not get a proving man right away. Then there's that aspect of it where you have to continue to apply these things to yourself, right? In the meantime, and build yourself up. Keep reading.
A shamefaced and faithful woman is a double grace.
That's another thing that's lacking today.
Right.
None of these sisters is shamefaced nowadays.
That stank face.
None of these sisters, right? It says a shamefaced and faithful woman is a double grace. Come on.
And her continent mind cannot be valued.
And let me tell you something, that's a hard thing to find. A continent mind means stable.
I've been thinking of this scripture the entire...
It ain't crazy. It ain't double-minded. Because, right, it says a double-minded man's unstable in all their ways.
Right.
And when you got to... That's why I say these sisters got to do it in sincerity. A incontinent mind is going to be all over the place. The continent mind stays on the Lord. Trust in the Lord.
Temperate.
Is temperate. But to be temperate means you stayed on the Lord. Remember, go back to 1 Peter 3 and 6. A continent mind goes into this.
The book of 1 Peter, chapter 3 and verse 6. Even as Sarah obeyed Abraham, calling him Lord, whose daughters ye are, as long as ye do well.
Come on.
And are not afraid with any amazement.
And not afraid with any amazement. Not afraid with any amazement goes into that continent mind. That continent mind. It says that, and remember, it says it cannot be valued. That's the same thing that we read in Proverbs 31 and 10, where it says her price is far above rubies. Who can find a virtuous woman?
Right.
At the end of the day, sisters, this whole thing starts in your mind. And remember, at the beginning of the show, see, I always tie my threads together.
Right.
So some people might have been like, I had the one sister ask about the, I think it was Sister Fear, asked about other aspects, and I'm like, all right, the whole thing's been other aspects. Let me connect my dots.
Right.
Let me connect my dots. The soul relies in the mind, right? And then we brought out the scriptures about the mind and how it presseth it down and all that stuff like that.
Yep.
Here it's talking about that continent mind, and it says it's above value. It says her price is far above rubies. A mind well instructed. We've gone through all those aspects of this to show you, right, all these pieces of it. all these classes, all these courses from the program to what we teach, all these things mean nothing without your faith, belief, fear, and submission to what the scriptures say we need to do.
That's right.
And that includes everything.
Mm.
We gave some examples. Fat in the Bible is not a thing.
Right.
Thick, big bone in the Bible is not a thing. When you do read about it, it's always negative, and it's associated with a descent into sin and destruction.
That's right.
So all of it matters. All of it has value. And this goes back to being able to love yourself. Love yourself is not accept yourself, not the whole thing of accept myself the way I am. As far as what your natural beauty is, right? We get on sisters when they do fake eyelashes and fake hair and things like that.
Umbrellas and stuff.
Right.
It's what it is. I mean,
it is. We're talking about loving yourself enough to try to bring back the value that you had from the womb.
Right.
So that then you can apply that in the
That's
constructs of a beautiful, lawful, divine marriage blessed by the Lord.
That's
Right? Remember, the scripture said, what God have put together, not man cast asunder. A lot of times we think that means a man's going to come in and try to separate the marriage or a woman. What it means is don't let the carnal come in and separate that.
Right, that's heavy.
Keep it spiritual. Keep it together. Don't let, because you could be the man. You could be that carnal that tries to cast that marriage asunder.
That goes
In
back
First
to Tobit 6, right?
I was going to say in 1 Corinthians 7, he says that Satan tempts you not for your incontinency.
Right.
We just read a continent mind.
Yes.
So
yes.
that's heavy.
And all of these go into it, right? And this is why we did it as a program that takes a year, right?
Right.
I can't go over all this in one show and in one night and all this other stuff.
No.
So I'm giving you the power hour version of this stuff,
Right.
And I know we lost some sisters because it gets late. It's like 1:00 on the East Coast.
No, we
and
still
stuff like
cooking.
that.
We got 800.
Yeah,
We
no,
still
but I
cooking.
mean we were up to
Yeah.
like 900 something at
Yeah,
one point,
yeah.
and I guess people like the smoke or whatever. But I will be remiss if we don't do our thought of that testimony, and if I don't give some. I said I was gonna address the PCOS BS and the other thing, right?
You gonna read the next one?
Which verse was that?
The 16 is a good one. It's a good one. You got to read that one. And just the next verse after the continent mind.
Yeah, we can read that. Go ahead.
Okay.
The book of Sirach, chapter 26
and 16.
Because this is the end game.
16.
This is the end game.
Uh-huh.
As the sun when it ariseth in the high heaven.
Isn't that beautiful when the sunrise?
It is.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It says this is what this is like. Go ahead, come on.
So is the beauty of a good wife in the ordering of her house.
And it starts with yourself. Love yourself, sisters. Order yourself aright. Then you'll be able to order your household aright.
Right.
You're going to maintain that peace. You're going to make sure the house is clean.
Yes,
welcoming
yes,
for the
yes.
husband. That's
Yes.
maintaining the house.
Yes.
They ain't talking about taking
Right.
over.
It didn't say her ass. It didn't say her thickness. None of that stuff, right?
Right.
Yeah. That's the thing that's why I said a man will go as far as marrying a 5 or 6 if he get this.
Facts.
If
Facts.
he get this. I know this for a fact. If he get this, right? And when I say 5 or 6, it don't mean like she's still trying to take care of herself.
Right.
It's like a Leia, tender-eyed.
Right.
You know?
But I'm saying like she's still trying to take care of herself. I'm not talking
definitely.
about a nasty one.
no
that
thought
she think like it always stink or whatever like that. It's not
Right.
supposed to be
That's
that
crazy
way. It's not supposed to be that way.
And Deacon, we even talk ordering of your house that you think like your physical house, but a lot of times we know our vessels, our bodies is a house.
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
Yep. Read 17.
Verse 17. As the clear light is upon the holy candlestick, so is the beauty of the face in ripe age.
Right. Meaning that's what I'm saying. Like if all these other things are there, he gonna see you beautiful. You're gonna age together.
Oh,
There's
man.
value that happens there together. It says, so is the beauty of the face in ripe age, right? He gonna be like, oh, I'm so old, I'm wrinkly, I'm this, I'm going on. But he sees that sunrise in you every day because of how you and it don't just mean, oh, I cook and clean, I do it with an attitude. We're talking about all these steps together. Because you know what? I could hire somebody to cook and clean.
Facts. And it's quiet.
It's not just talking about getting the task done. Right, and it's quiet. And I got my piece. I can sit and scratch.
Right.
I don't have to do, ain't that better? Right. Why are you in here in the dark? Why the TV so loud? Why are you eating that sandwich?
Right.
Why don't you eat this? Ain't that better? Right? It ain't like that.
And even in this part right here where it talks about the ripe age and so forth, remember how we were talking about the mind and the body being connected?
Yes.
Remember the scriptures say, I'm going to read it real quick. It says that the gladness of the heart is the life of man, and the joyfulness of a man prolongeth his days.
Yes, yes.
So if you give that man that joy, that love, that peace, both of y'all going to live forever because he's going to give you happiness in return.
Yes.
So you're going to live longer.
Yeah. Oh, right.
Damn.
Right, Dan. I can certainly cook for
Bro, that's
myself.
heavy.
And there's some things, don't get me wrong, my wife makes some things that I mean, I could probably learn how to make it, but I don't make it, right? I could throw down if I need to cook for myself.
Oh, it's good.
And I actually like to do, I do a lot of my own lunches and stuff like that, right? But there's something about when it comes through with sincerity, when it comes through with everything else that's here. But let's keep reading. We're about to wrap this up. Yeah, come on.
Verse 18, as the golden pillars are upon the sockets of silver, so are the fair feet with a constant heart.
Right, meaning the beauty and that constant mind, that continent mind, that mind well instructed.
She
that
ain't
mind
changing up.
well instructed. She not unstable.
Right.
She not like, damn, what the hell did I do? Yeah, you get that? You get the, oh, damn, what the hell did I do?
Right.
Right? And then if you, and I say that because a lot of times, man, when I find out what it is that I did, I'm like, damn, there ain't no reason for her to be acting like that for whatever it is I done did.
Right.
She still needs to do this. She still needs to do that.
Right.
Right. Y'all want to exact vengeance and
get back.
Anyway, I digress. Let's look up these videos. There's one where he talks about the broken metabolism, right? And then we're gonna do the torta after the broken metabolism. Listen here, and listen good. All right. I'm gonna try to let it play through before I stop.
You know that your metabolism can't actually break, right? If you've been dieting for years, lost weight, gained it back, tried keto, fasting, low carb, all of it, it's kind of easy to feel like your metabolism is just broken. But the truth is, it's not. Your metabolism doesn't just shut off and stop working, because if it did, you would be dead. Here's the thing. Most people confuse their metabolism with their total daily energy expenditure, but they're not the same thing. Your metabolism, or your BMR, is just the amount of energy that your body needs in order to stay alive. Think about things like organ function, maintaining your core body temperature, and breathing. And your total daily energy expenditure is everything combined, which includes your BMR, but also the thermic effect of food, your NEAT, and the amount of calories that you burn through exercise.
Stop.
Now,
No, you go back. Can you go back? You downloaded it. Can you go back to that graphic? Go ahead. You can
daily energy expenditure, but they're not the same thing. Your metabolism, or your BMR, is just the amount of energy that your body needs in order to stay alive. Think about things like organ function, maintaining your core body temperature, and breathing. And your total daily energy expenditure is everything combined, which includes your BMR, but also
total daily energy expenditure. This is what you guys confuse for metabolism. Right? This is what your total daily energy. So BMR, that's what you need. You can lay in bed all day
and burn fat.
And that'll be the calories that you burn.
Right.
Right? As long as you don't eat more than what you burn. Bulk of that is for your brain. That's the other thing about the brain. It consumes the vast majority of calories, like on your BMR. And like he said, organ function and everything else, right? That's BMR, right? Then you have what they call NEAT, non-exercise activity thermogenesis. This is the stuff where you're not consciously trying to do it. So you could have a demanding job. You could just naturally move around a lot, whatever it might be. There's people who fidget, things like that, right? Then you have the thermic effect of food, which is already factored into the calories in food. So don't think that they say, well, you burn this much when you eat this. They already factor that in on the calorie label when you do that, right? So it already accounts for that is my point, right? But yes, eating, right? And there used to be, eat 6 more meals a day because you're burning more. It still goes down to total daily calories because it's already factored into the calories, right? You can eat as little or as much as you want in a day, whatever works for you as far as how you feel and keeps you compliant. Right. If you want to do 1 meal a day, there's no magic in 1 meal a day. It's just kind of harder to overeat a certain amount of calories. But depending on what you're eating, I could certainly throw down 2,000 calories in 1 meal.
Easy.
If I'm famished, let's say I had a heavy day, I worked all day, everything else, I could throw down a large pizza by myself, easy.
Facts.
And I guarantee you that's like 3,000 calories, 1 large pizza by myself, right? So don't just think there's something magic about eating once a day. Food content matters, calorie content matters, right? And then you have eat, which is exercise activity thermogenesis. All this together makes up your daily calorie burn. Go ahead, come on.
Thermic effect of food, your NEAT, and the amount of calories that you burn through exercise. Now, here's where things get a little bit tricky, because even though your metabolism isn't broken, your total daily energy expenditure does decrease as a byproduct of dieting. Why? Because 1, you're eating less food, so you burn less calories digesting it. 2, you start moving less, even when you don't realize it. 3, your body gets smaller, which means that your BMR goes down. And 4, if you're not lifting weights correctly, you might be losing muscle, which makes your BMR go down even more. So yeah, your energy expenditure might be a lot lower than you think it is. And if you feel like you've been stuck for a while, that could be why. But that still doesn't mean that your metabolism is broken. Just means that you might be burning very few calories throughout the day, which might actually make fat loss feel damn near impossible. So what the hell can you actually do about it? Which is what you probably care to know. Well, I encourage you to focus on lifting weights instead of doing a ton of cardio so you can prioritize muscle mass. Walk at least 8 to 10,000 steps per day to keep your energy expenditure high. Eat plenty of protein and fiber, and don't starve yourself. And the one that most people forget about is prioritizing sleep and recovery, which are both equally important. These things make fat loss feel easier because they actually increase your metabolism and help you burn more calories throughout the day. Unfortunately, most people who want to lose weight focus way too much on just eating less food and watching the scale drop instead of focusing on the things that actually help them feel and look better.
So let me give you an example. Let's say you have a sedentary job.
Right.
You sit at a desk.
Mm-hmm.
It's even worse nowadays if you work from home, because at least with a commute, there's some movement going on or whatever.
Right.
You are not moving that much at all. And then on top of that, you're not conscious of how much you should be eating as far as calories and things like that. It's very easy to not be able to lose the weight. So you have to do things to try to increase the weight, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm pretty active. I do sit sometimes for good portions of the day, but I'm also kind of moving around. I'm going pretty much nonstop all day.
Don't you got a little bike under your desk?
So that's what I was gonna say. So I bought a little desk bike.
Right.
I bought the elliptical one.
Right.
To try to get extra steps. Right. And that's not heavy exercise.
Mm-hmm.
It's just kind of a passive way while I'm working on the computer. And, you know, I get my revolutions going. It's very minimal, like, depending on how fast and how much I'm doing it and at what resistance. Like, I've calculated some days where if I do, like, 2,000 repetitions, it's only, like, an extra 150 calories a day. But over the course of the week, that's an extra 700 calories. Like, that's if you're doing it 7 days a week or whatever.
It makes a difference.
Right. Yeah, these are just little ways to kind of do that sort of thing, right, and move in that regard. Let me see what else you got before I get to the torta. There was one where the guy talks about metabolism as you age. That's it. That's the one I want. I believe that's it. Let's play this one. Go ahead. Come on.
School opening up again in a few days.
Stop. So it says you've got that young metabolism. Wait till you get to my age. Come on.
What the fuck are you talking about?
She is right. Your metabolism isn't slowing down, but something else might be. Researchers at Duke University recently finished one of the biggest studies on our metabolisms ever done. As expected, they saw a big spike from when you're born up to about 20 years old. But after that, from 20 up to 60 years old, it stayed the exact same. So if it's not age, why do people have a harder time losing weight after what seems like they're 20?
So Tony goes on to say that some people may find it harder to stay at a healthy weight because our habits and priorities change as we get older. We move less, sit more, sleep less, and carry more stress, which is all true. Time's cool. But one criticism he faced in that video was the idea that women's hormones at different stages of life were not taken into account.
Stop. For all you sisters that want to talk about your hormones, all right, this is a actually pretty good doctor that's about to do this. The other guy that was talking is a fitness guy as well, who has a background in nutrition. Tony, he's really good as well. All of you like, yeah, that's all well and good. What about hormones? Let's see what he has to say about that. Go ahead, come on.
Mention the menopause. Now, changing hormone profiles during the menopause can absolutely make it more difficult to maintain a healthy weight. Many women suffer with low mood, night sweats, hot flashes, headaches, joint and muscle pain, which can all make sleeping, exercise and eating well much more difficult. No one should deny that. But the idea that hormone changes in women slow down your metabolism is not accurate.
So it affects you, not because it slowed your metabolism,
right,
but because you kind of feel like crap, so it makes it harder for you to want to do those type of things. You're tired, you feel run down. This is where that spirit of discipline has to kick in. It's not, so the excuse, it still goes back to behavior. It still goes back to behavior. Yeah, we almost done. We almost wrapping up. It still goes back to behavior. So going back to what I said about even if you take something like Ozempic or whatever it is, all it's going to do is kind of help you to maintain your calorie deficit. You still, once you get off that medication, have to have good habits and a good foundation behind that. Your hormones do make you feel like crap. It makes it hard to sleep, hot flashes, everything else. PCOS does the same type of thing, all right? But it does not alter your metabolism. This is what I mean when I say stop telling me that bullshit about hormones and PCOS. It does not alter your metabolism. It just makes it more kind of mentally that you got to push through.
Yep.
Right?
Grit.
Right? You got to push yourself forward. Go ahead, come on.
Only cited, 64% of them were women. And as you can see by the yellow dots, women's metabolism remained consistent until 65 years.
So they even through menopause and everything else, their metabolism stayed the same. Your metabolism is not slow. Your metabolism is not slow. That's old thinking. That's old talking. Just because you're older, your metabolism didn't change. Your habits changed. When you were younger, you moved more, different things.
Right.
Maybe if you're dealing with hormonal stuff, it's making you move less because you feel like crap and all you want to do is lay down. But guess how you combat that? You do the exercise, you do the thing, and it releases different hormones that counteract it. The proper food and the proper meals that you eat in a profile that actually sustains performance.
Right.
So don't necessarily try to jack yourself up and try all this crazy stuff. Eat in a way that your blood sugar stays normalized. And if there's any medical interventions that can help you hormonally, they can go a long way to giving you relief in those things. Go ahead, come on.
Other studies also show a similar thing. So it's important that we acknowledge what the actual barriers to healthy living are as we age and not reinforce metabolism myths. Class dismissed.
Right. They're metabolism myths. Otherwise known as metabolism piss. They're metabolism myths that don't exist. Now I want to leave you with a testimony. All right, put the picture back up, the graphic, before we go to Torta. I don't know if there was anything else about the hormones. Wait, you know what? I think there was one about Ozempic that I want to put. Let's play that video. We're ready. We're here. We got a few more minutes. Let's play the Ozempic. Listen.
May be controversial, but studies have shown that once you stop Ozempic, you will regain the weight.
Will you regain weight after coming off of Ozempic or other GLP-1 agonists? Let's talk about it. Obviously, GLP medications are fantastic for weight loss. They result in about 35 pounds of weight loss over 72 weeks on average. But there's also evidence showing that about a third of that is muscle mass, which is not good. And we know that less muscle mass can result in reduced physical function and a lower metabolic rate, which can make subsequent weight loss more difficult and weight regain more likely. But here's the thing. This happens if, and only if, you're not working on developing healthy nutrition and lifestyle-related habits simultaneously. In fact, lifting weights can completely negate the muscle loss impacts of medication. I think one of the most positive impacts of medications like Ozempic is that for some individuals, it allows them to simultaneously work on things like eating a little bit healthier, lifting weights and building muscle, and improving their overall lifestyle to promote improvements in health. And if they're able to successfully develop these habits, they actually do really well, not only just maintaining their weight, but continuing to progress towards their long-term health and fitness goals, even after coming off of medication. I've seen this time and time again working with clients at Fit for Life Academy who are actually taking medications like Ozempic and come off of it. These medications are tools to help you improve your health alongside lifestyle modification. And they're only dangerous if you use them for quick weight loss, because you're not going to be able to keep the weight off if you don't improve your habits. Hope this helps, and for more helpful nutrition and fitness related content, make sure to give me a follow. Peace.
That's right. That use the world and not abuse it.
Right. And it's all about making sure you have the right habits. Now, show the promo thing, all right? And any of these that we didn't get to today, we'll go through on another segment. Yeah, put that one again. All right. So when the brothers originally did this, there was only Southern Kingdom looking sisters on it.
Right.
I said, no. I said, make sure you put some Northern Kingdom sisters. I said, because these Northern Kingdom sisters be fat too.
This is true.
Right? I said, and I want to equally offend. I said, I don't want people to say, oh, why you only showing, black people and you're not showing the Northern Kingdom. And,
you're always getting on Judah.
Right. No. It's all you sisters. It goes around, right? Now, let's focus on the torta right there. If you don't know what a torta is is a delicious. I will say I do like tortas from Mexico.
Ah,
food. You know, I
fuck.
get,
I love me some
you
tortas, boy.
I get on some on the Mexican food. It's just a rice, and I don't think it's bad. I just think it's overhyped for what it brings to the table. Right. I think it's great. Like I crave it sometimes. I've been craving some tacos. I'll probably have some soon. You know, coming up. I got my favorite places.
Like
that I like
it's
to
a good
eat.
little spot over there.
Right. Yeah, that's it. Right. So there's I like it. Right. I do. Right. And I enjoy it thoroughly. I'm just saying it's not the end all be all. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a lot of the same thing. Right. But tortas, they banging. That's the one thing that's not really like a taco. It's a sandwich.
It's a sandwich, right?
That's fire, boy.
It's the one thing that don't have tortilla. So take everything that you would find in like a taco.
That's a good point.
And throw it between some dope bread, right? And you have a tortilla.
But with the butter, oh my God.
But unbeknownst to many of us, there's another type of torta.
Oh, shoot. Why'd you say it like that?
Drum roll.
That was like the suspense for
No, not sisters. Not all tortas are fire.
Oh, not this torta.
So you spoke too soon. You judged before the time, sisters. You judged before the time.
Not this torta.
Put up the definition of the other type of torta. We almost done, family. We almost done. So, let's read the other type of torta.
A torta. An overweight Hispanic woman
Get some pictures too, bro.
who typically wears black leggings, hoops, a wife beater, and Nike sandals.
God damn.
Breakfast for them usually consists of hot Cheetos and a mango Arizona. And also they tend to say, "Hey, fool," a lot.
Give the example in sentence.
Yeah, I like this one.
The club was full of tortas tonight. Or Chris wifed up a torta.
Now. Go back to the picture real quick. So let me show you. We had to be equally representative tonight.
Bruh.
So we showed, you see the torta right there with stains on her wedding dress?
Zoom in.
Right? That's a torta, right? Now, he said Chris wifed up a torta.
Right.
But Asher felt very strongly about he wifed up a torta once upon a time.
Yeah, I was, when we were talking about it, I was reminiscing and I thought about those dark moments when I once wifed up a torta.
You once wifed up a torta.
Now, mind you, she wasn't a torta prior, okay? But she evolved or transformed into one.
Oh, so she didn't, none of this was applied.
None of that was applied.
None of what we brought out in the scriptures was applied.
So partially, yes, it was my fault. I should have pushed more a Bible into her and so on and so forth. So I blame myself. But I'm using this as an example to say that any of you sisters can be a doggone torta. Okay, a torta is kind of like is similar to a BBW. Right. A big black woman.
Right.
Okay, that's similar.
That's a torta.
That is a torta right
That's
there.
That's a torta and a half.
Yes. Oh, shoot, and a half.
Damn, that thing look good as hell. Oh, snap. It is like a Pokemon.
Bruh.
This can happen. This can happen to you. This is a warning to all men out there.
Bro, this is a real thing in Arizona, too. It's bad.
No, there's a lot of tortas in
No. There's a lot of tortas in Mexico, too.
Yeah.
Well,
we were in Mexico City.
Yeah.
There were tortas left and right, bro.
Yeah.
I said, oh, my goodness.
That's right.
So, you know, y'all, Southern Kingdom now get some jokes for some of the Northern Kingdom sisters. That's a fact. You're like, what's up, torta? What's up, fool?
What's up, fool?
What's up, fool? Oh, man.
That's nasty.
Hey, I did leave some scripts on the table. Delivery came out a little different. We freestyled a lot in the beginning, but Lord's will, I got the message across. Listen, we gonna continue doing this program for the sisters. I pray that y'all learn from it. I pray that you sisters that are going to finish this program, whether you graduate from it or not, it's not a loss, right? Like what I'm saying is, I mean, if you didn't graduate, you got to kind of consider. It's easy to blame and say, "Damn, they did me wrong." I'm going to say you really need to consider and examine yourself and see where you failed along the way.
Right.
And from what I understand, there's something like 700-something sisters that's coming out of that program, if I'm not mistaken, graduating. I think the numbers might get modified a little bit. So, congratulations to all of y'all who took it serious, who are going to continue to take it serious, who are going to apply it, and are going to finish strong as we come up on graduation. And I think it only gets better, just like we did with the 300 for the men, all right? Y'all make sure that you really embrace what it is to be a wife and to not be rebellious. And I think what you need to understand is that it's in you, because you're sold the fantasy, you're moved that way. Don't think you're above it, even if you've been sitting here for some years, even if you're married presently. There's always ways for us to improve and be better, right? Remember, it says it's for the perfecting of the saints.
Right.
And perfecting is a continual process, and we all got to continue to move in that direction, all right? So, I get on y'all, I mess with y'all, but it's because I want to see y'all do better, and I want all of us to do better. We're getting on the men, too, to not be fat bodies anymore. We need to show out and show ourselves how we need to be. And I really wanted to put in perspective, what we're asking is not unreasonable for you to jump off and move in that direction.
It's Bible.
Yep. So hey sis Tabitha, the workout's good. Make sure the food is where it's. I'm telling you, the food is where it's at. I had other clips I didn't get to show, but that's the big mover. Workout accounts for such a small part of it on your total daily calorie expenditure. Working out has other benefits other than burning calories. That's very helpful for your health. But anyway, go ahead, take it away, Asher.
All right, y'all. Y'all know the deal. We are seeking your assistance always to enhance our national broadcast. So go ahead and scan that QR code, answer the 5 brief questions, give us some feedback. All right. Next slide.
What else we got?
And this is the Power Hour Plus. We are on Instagram, Facebook. Y'all know the deal. Social media, we everywhere. And you know why this is so important? Because like Sister Safira had commented, and though we went over a plethora of things in regards to the program and everything else, maybe there's something else that you wanted to ask that you didn't get to ask. Go on the Instagram, ask your questions on there. We can get back to you. All right? We might touch it on the next show. We might make a reel about it. Some of the things that you guys may ask, we may make a reel about it.
We're going to start looking at doing some reels. So if you give feedback on the social of things you might want us to talk about, and sometimes we miss the questions in the chat feed, all right, we can go through that, all right? We can go through that. And if not a full show, we can do it, like he just said, as a reel or something like that.
Benson?
Hey, I just want to give a shout out, too, real quick to Mother Shamara for always sending content.
We good?
There's one more.
Benson's talking.
Oh, I can't hear. I took my thing off.
Oh.
I just want to
shout out to Mama Shamara for always bringing content.
Oh, okay. All praise to the Most High. Yes, she's always sending some stuff through, whether on directly or sometimes through my wife. She'll send some stuff through for us to kind of look at and mention, and the brothers will put that stuff up. So all praises for that. All praises for that.
All right, D, that's it.
All right. That we say shalom. Be safe, fam.
Shalom.
Shalom.
This for the Southern Kingdom, Kwam Yasharallah. Hey, one nation, one nation. This for the Northern Kingdom, Viva la Raza. We one nation, one nation. This for the Southern Kingdom, Kwam Yasharallah. Hey, one nation, one nation. This for the Northern Kingdom, Viva la Raza. We one nation, one nation. It wouldn't be Israel without Mexicans. Black love, brown pride, cause we next to kin. We ain't gotta tell Esau to let's be friends, cause we above all nations and we better than them. We the salt of the earth, ayy, ayy. And we been king since birth, ayy, ayy. We put the kingdom first, ayy, ayy. And they gon' get this work, ayy, ayy. We was chosen, not cause we the most of the people. Few in numbers, but we over the people. We gods of this earth, we ain't supposed to be equal. Stop playing, you emotional people. The good gotta triumph over the evil. So my foot's on the throat of the eagle. Their tongues will confess that we the people. Cause my nation ain't never